Chapter 65. The shiny black Mercedes-Benz was like a flash of lightning in the night. It didn't even care about the 15-centimeter high roadside. It directly brushed against the car's chassis and rushed out. After all, Jean Biao was a gangster who had seen the wind and waves. Not only was he flexible, but he also had to be able to run at the critical moment. As long as he wasn't caught, he could be flexible. As long as he was willing to spend money, he could turn black into white. Qin Wan'er pulled out her gun and shouted, "Stop!" At this time, this kind of threat was useless to Jean Biao. This was Huaxia, not the United States. Even if you were a police officer, you couldn't shoot at will. Jean Biao completely ignored Qin Wan'er's intention. Instead, he stepped on the accelerator even harder. If they didn't chase now, they wouldn't have the chance. Su Yan didn't say anything and directly got into the Shenlong Buick that Chang had eliminated. Before they could react, the Shenlong Buick's engine burst out with a strange sound and rushed out. "Hey, Su Yan, wait for me." Qin Wan'er ran out a few steps to chase, but Su Yan didn't have the slightest intention to stop. Chang panicked. That car is a broken thing that has been overhauled many times. If Brother Yan drives like that, it will probably explode in a while. Lu Feng was dumbfounded. He said as he rushed into the car, "Then what are we waiting for? Chase." Dan Hongning and Kong Zhong also started to move quickly. Qin Wan'er followed Lu Feng into the car without caring about anything else. Her face was full of anxiety. "Let's go. Quick." Lu Feng didn't dare to disobey. Although this wasn't the first time he participated in the cooperation between the police and the people, he was still a little excited. He didn't expect that he could do something so meaningful. The Wrangler that wasn't afraid of any kind of road directly chased westward. God's Walker and Q5 didn't want to be outdone and followed closely behind. Chang and Xiaofei also sat in Kong Zhong's car and followed along. Just now, there was chaos in front of the medicinal cuisine house. Now it was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. "Dad, are you going to drive that broken car to chase after the Mercedes-Benz?" Guoguo was speechless. She slapped her little face with her chubby hands. "Sai, I really lost to him." Ruan Qingshuang picked up Guoguo and said, "Then let's go upstairs and wait for Father and Sister Wan, okay?" Guoguo turned her head suspiciously. "Mom, you acknowledged Dad? Could it be that she agreed to marry him? Are you itching for a beating again?" Ruan Qingshuang blushed at Guoguo's words. Did she make a mistake just now? Chou Yun hadn't gone out since a while ago. She suddenly felt that the little medicinal cuisine house was no longer safe, and the invading forces were getting bigger and bigger. It was like a circle. The bigger the circle, the larger the contact area. The medicinal cuisine house had changed from a small circle to the center of power in the South District of Hudong City. Even people from the East District had come to find them. The more it was like this, the more dangerous it was. Chou Yun knew this very well. After all, if Green Ghost had sent Red Scorpion, he wouldn't have asked a nobody for information like Mountain Cat did. Only Jean Biao, a real gangster in Hudong City, was qualified to be his eyes and ears. However, Chou Yun didn't see anything from Jean Biao's reaction. Maybe he wasn't the one Red Scorpion liked. Jean Biao's subordinates, Lu Huazi and Xia Lei, saw that everyone was chasing after their boss. Their first thought was to escape. At this moment, Chou Yun pushed the door open. After a wave of attacks, Lu Huazi's group of Jiang Nanlong and Xia Lei's group of Manchurian tigers were all knocked unconscious on the ground by Chou Yun. Although Chou Yun basically ruled out the possibility that Jean Biao was Red Scorpion's spy, she would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let go of one. As long as Qin Wan'er caught all these people, she would feel safer. Although it would be safer to kill all these people, Chou Yun wasn't a bloodthirsty demon who killed people like flies. As long as these people were taken away by the police, all the hidden dangers would be eliminated. Su Yun stepped on the gas pedal. The divine dragon Little Fukong, which was almost scrapped and had only 4th gear, actually managed to reach 130 kilometers per hour. The sound from the engine was completely abnormal, but Su Yun didn't have time to worry about this. He had to catch up to that bastard Jean Biao before the car was scrapped. Jean Biao's Mercedes-Benz S350 was a car worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Reaching 130 kilometers per hour was absolutely easy. However, this was after all an urban area. There were so many cars and people. Driving so fast was no different from seeking death. Jin Biao, who cherished his life and loved money, didn't want to get injured. Secondly, he didn't want the car to be scratched. Therefore, the divine dragon Little Fukong quickly caught up to him. Looking at the divine dragon Little Fukong, which had a broken headlight and was still using its wide flash, entering the rearview mirror, Jin Biao didn't dare to let down his guard. Just in time for the green light to turn green, Jin Biao quickly turned left and ran towards the highway leading back to Tuashan district. Suyin didn't hesitate either. The divine dragon Little Fukong followed after him with a beautiful drift. This drifting technique was quite amazing. If Hollywood director Lin Yibin saw this scene, he would definitely be heavily invited for the Fast and Furious 8, 9, and 10 episodes. Once on the highway, Jin Biao finally found the advantage of his Mercedes-Benz. He could easily break 130 kilometers per hour. He didn't care about the speed limit or the fine for taking photos. The most important thing now was to escape. Su Yin had already stepped on the gas pedal to the bottom. He suddenly changed gears at high speed. The car's exhaust suddenly emitted thick smoke. Following that, Su Yin stepped on the gas pedal and quickly changed gears. The broken divine dragon Little Fukong seemed to have exploded as it rushed forward with a hum. Even if it was a sports car with a performance 10 times better than this, it would probably be scrapped. Anyway, this car was broken. Su Yin didn't care. He used an unconventional method to drive this broken Fukong to 150 kilometers per hour. Originally, Jin Biao thought that he could easily escape. However, the divine dragon Little Fukong actually roared and chased after him. A butt full of white smoke. Before Jin Biao could react, Su Yun's divine dragon Little Fukong was already side by side with Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz S350. Without any hesitation, Su Yun suddenly crashed into Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz. Clang! The two cars collided and sparks flew. Su Yun used all his strength to control the shaking steering wheel, to maintain the stability of the car. Jin Biao was so scared that his hands tightly grasped the steering wheel, and tried to escape again. Drivers who had driven before knew that although this type of luxury car had good performance, after being hit, it would be slow to accelerate. The acceleration of the car would definitely not be as fast as it was at the beginning. After all, it wasn't a sports car. Su Yun saw that Jin Biao still wanted to escape. He didn't say anything and crashed into him again. Clang! Both cars swayed a few times, but they were still moving forward at high speed. Damn, Su Yun didn't understand. That Mercedes-Benz had 8 airbags, right? After being hit, it didn't eject. This wasn't a small domestic brand car. There shouldn't be a problem with its safety performance, right? Su Yun wanted to hit the Mercedes-Benz until the airbags ejected. That way, Jin Biao wouldn't be able to continue to escape. But things were very coincidental. Once, Jin Biao was drunk and had a rear-end collision. He was directly shocked by the burst airbag. After that, he made up his mind and removed all the airbags on this Mercedes-Benz. Jin Biao was very happy. He didn't expect that his decision would help him at this critical moment. If the airbags were ejected from the collision, he would definitely die here. The two speeding cars on the highway scared the other cars into the slow lane. No one dared to provoke these people who dared to drive with their lives on the line. When the car's speed reached 160 kilometers per hour, Jin Biao really didn't dare to accelerate anymore. He usually had a driver and rarely drove himself. His driving skills were actually very average. Being able to drive at this speed was already enough to make him panic. No matter how good the speed reduction glass was, it couldn't reduce the panic in his heart. There was only a difference of 10 kilometers per hour, so it wasn't easy for Jin Biao to widen the gap between him and Su Yun. Su Yun had already done his best. If this broken car was hit again, it would probably be scrapped on the spot. He could only use the highest speed to try not to be left behind. Fortunately, Jin Biao wasn't brave enough to drive. When he tried to shake off Su Yun a few times, he would be caught by Su Yun because he was too timid to brake. The two cars drove for 30 kilometers in one breath and directly reached the boundary of Tuashan district from the boundary of Wenhui district. Turning at the intersection ahead, they entered Tuashan district. Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz, which was almost completely scratched, finally returned to his own territory in Tuashan district. However, he still couldn't breathe a sigh of relief because Su Yun's broken Citroën was still following him closely. Jin Biao, who was completely driven crazy, didn't even care about the number of cars passing by at the intersection. He directly turned left and ran the red light. The two cars that passed by him made him break out in a cold sweat. There were too many cars at this intersection. There were still 5 or 6 seconds of red light left. Su Yun had no choice but to step on the brake. However, when he stepped on the brake, the Citroën's engine compartment went silent with a bang. It was as if a 300 kilograms fatty squatted on top of his head and let out a muffled fart. Su Yun and the driver's seat shook together. F***. The engine turned off. Su Yun cursed and quickly turned the key to start the engine. Click, 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 click. It's over. This car is considered to be scrapped. Su Yun looked up again and saw that Jin Biao's black Mercedes-Benz was about to disappear from his sight. He had already chased Jin Biao to this point. If he let Jin Biao escape, everything would be in vain. He didn't hesitate to kick open the door and get out of the car. He directly rushed to the sidewalk. More than a dozen bicyclists on the sidewalk were shocked. "Beauty, let me borrow your bike." Su Yun didn't care whether the other party was willing or not. He forcibly snatched the bike from the hands of a girl. "Come back to the Wenhui district and find me. I will definitely return it to you." Hey, this is robbery. Bastard, stop. Su Yun ignored the girl's tender reprimand from behind. He rode her bicycle and rushed out. His behavior completely angered the other bicyclists in the girl's team. Everyone was suddenly in high spirits. "Chase," the captain ordered. More than a dozen people rushed through the green light like madmen. Chapter 66. The team leader had learned something new. He had been riding bicycles since 10 years ago and was quite famous in the cycling world. He had participated in a few national competitions. Although he didn't win any prizes, he had seen many masters. However, in the face of this car thief, he swore that if the experts he had seen before were to compete with this person, they would definitely be left behind by this person by several streets. Based on the speed he had seen just now, it was as if this place was a downhill race in the Tour de France. Suddenly, a 60 km/h speed limit sign appeared in front of the team leader's eyes. He was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. The bike just now was faster than a 60 km/h car. Damn, was that guy even human? Jin Biao was in a good mood after seeing the Shenlong Fukong's cylinder burst. He sneered in his heart and couldn't help but hum a tune. He didn't care if Zhao Sanlai was caught or if Xiao Lei and Lu Huazi could escape. At least he could think of a way to get them out of here. Jin Biao had already made up his mind. Tomorrow, he would find someone to take the blame and buy a plane ticket to another province to hide for a few days. When he returned, he would still be the boss of Hudong City. He would still be able to do whatever he wanted. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, 3 knocks came from the car window. Jin Biao's eyes widened. His car was still moving. Did he see a ghost? He turned his head to look out of the window. A person was actually glaring at him. Su Yun grabbed the rearview mirror of Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz with one hand and his bicycle with the other. He glared at Jin Biao and scolded, "Run my ass. I can't even bend my legs from pedaling." Even the most powerful people would be scared out of their wits. Jin Biao's action had completely scared Su Yun out of his wits. Jin Biao made up his mind. "Since you're so aggressive, don't blame me for being ruthless." He didn't believe that he couldn't kill Su Yun with a car. As Jin Biao thought about it, he suddenly turned the steering wheel and squeezed towards Su Yun. Su Yun was shocked, but he reacted quickly. He suddenly abandoned his bicycle and jumped on top of Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz. The bicycle fell to the ground and was crushed by Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz. It was completely destroyed. The people in the other cars on the road were all shocked. It was really shocking. If this matter was spread out, there would definitely be no one who would believe it. Riding a bicycle all the way to catch up with a Mercedes-Benz, the Mercedes-Benz desperately crashed into it. At the critical moment, that person was still able to abandon the bike and jump onto the roof of the car. Everyone exclaimed, This was even more exciting than The Fast and the Furious. Was this a sci-fi movie? The Flash? Iron Man? F***ck, could it be the domestic version of Iron Egg Man? Soo-Yun hugged the roof of the car tightly. He was furious. F***ck. You want to kill me? You're still not good enough. Soo-Yun suddenly raised his fist and smashed it on the car's skylight with a loud bang. His huge fist was infused with a surge of internal energy and directly shattered the skylight glass. Before Jin Biao could react, countless pieces of glass fell into the car like hail. Soo-Yun tore through the sunroof and got into the car. He sat on the passenger seat. Jin Biao's courage, which was about to be scared to death, was once again raised to his throat. He was so shocked that he couldn't even make a sound. You want to kill me? You're still too inexperienced. Soo-Yun didn't care about Jin Biao's speed of over 100 miles per hour. He directly smashed his fist on Jin Biao's face, causing blood to flow out. Jin Biao cried out. His hands were in disarray. The other cars on the road slowed down, and even stopped to avoid him. Jin Biao's black Mercedes-Benz crazily crashed into the guardrail on the left. It was then bounced back and crashed into the guardrail on the right. The interior of the car was also shaking, but Soo-Yun didn't stop punching. He followed up with another heavy punch on Jin Biao's face. This punch was enough to make Jin Biao's face a bloody mess. Jin Biao, who was panicking and in pain, stepped on the accelerator even harder. The car suddenly crashed into the rear of a Honda Accord that was trying to overtake and leave the danger zone. The car's engine was turned off with a muffled sound. The huge inertia caused the two people in the car to crash out of the car window. Fortunately, Soo-Yun was already prepared to defend himself. He quickly wrapped his arms around himself and curled his legs to protect his body, before using his back to slam into the windshield. After his body flew out, Soo-Yun quickly shrank his body and crashed into the Honda Accord, so he didn't suffer any injuries. Jin Biao was in a worse state. He was dizzy from the fall. He laid on the ground with a face full of blood. His heavy breathing only proved that he wasn't dead yet. The blood on his face was, of course, caused by Soo-Yun's punches. The broken car window didn't have any edges, so it wouldn't hurt anyone. The driver of the Accord jumped out of the car in a rage. Just as he was about to scold, "How can an idiot drive like this?" he was dumbfounded. The person lying on the ground was actually the famous boss, Jin Biao. The Accord's driver immediately shut his mouth. He was unlucky to have encountered a triad seeking revenge. He quickly got into the car and drove away. Soo-Yun stood up and looked at the half-dead Jin Biao on the ground. He was furious. He kicked him fiercely and said, "Why don't you continue to run? Get up." The fat Jin Biao was kicked. He screamed like a pig being slaughtered. What a heavy kick, it was like being whipped. There were more and more onlookers on the road. Many cars didn't dare to continue driving. The miserable fat man lying on the ground was actually the boss of Dongdong, Jin Biao. Everyone couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. More and more people cast their curious and surprised gazes on Soo-Yun. The impact this person had on them was too great. Just as the police cars were about to return to the police station, they saw this scene. Four police officers immediately rushed in. "What's going on?" An older police officer shouted angrily. When he lowered his head and saw Jin Biao on the ground, he was stunned. The other three younger police officers were so shocked that they were speechless. Soo-Yun was a little unhappy when he saw the police. He knew that there was trouble and wanted to escape. However, it was too late. Several police officers surrounded him. "Take him away." The middle-aged policeman stared. A young policeman took out handcuffs and walked directly to Soo-Yun. Without saying anything, he twisted Soo-Yun's hands behind his back and locked them. Soo-Yun didn't want to argue. This matter couldn't be explained clearly in a short time. Anyway, Chin-Wonner was there. He didn't worry that he would suffer in the police station. Soo-Yun was taken to the police car. The middle-aged policeman asked the other two to lift Jin Biao. Jin Biao, who had recovered, coughed and spat out blood. He stared at the policeman beside him. Soo-Yun didn't see any fear on Jin Biao's face. Instead, he saw a smile on his face. "I'm injured. I want to go to the hospital," Jin Biao said coldly. "Do you want me to call Director Chi now?" In Wenhui District, Jin Biao was afraid of being arrested. However, in Tuashan District, he wasn't afraid. The director of Tuashan District Police Station, Chi Yishan, was the child of his wife's cousin. According to seniority, he had to call him uncle. Everyone in Tuashan District Police Station knew about this. Yes, you must go to the hospital. The middle-aged policeman smiled. I'll call Director Chi now and tell him the situation. The middle-aged policeman dialed the phone. When the phone was connected, Jin Biao grabbed the phone rudely. Ishan, I'm your uncle. I got into some trouble. In the police car, Su Yun's eyes flashed coldly. If he didn't care about Qin Wan-er's identity, he would have already turned against these policemen. Tuashan District was obviously not as simple as Su Yun thought. Su Yun, who had arrested Jin Biao, was taken to the police station. Jin Biao, who should have been arrested, was escorted to the hospital by the middle-aged policeman. After the three tigers of Nanqing drove Qin Wan-er, Chang, and Xiao Fei out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, they didn't see a single car. They didn't dare to think that Jin Biao and Su Yun would drive so fast. Damn, he must have run to Tuashan District. Lu Feng cursed and hit the steering wheel angrily. Qin Wan-er ordered, then go to Tuashan District. Although Lu Feng wasn't sure after all, Tuashan District wasn't his territory. However, he didn't dare to disobey Qin Wan-er's order. He could only follow the leader's instructions and go on the highway. Dan Hongning and Kong Zhong looked at the route and knew that they were going directly to other people's territory. The two swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Follow them. Even if it was a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, they had to go. They couldn't let Brother Yun fight alone. The three cars went on the highway and chased step by step. Qin Wan-er believed in her intuition and believed that Su Yun would never let Jin Biao go. Since Su Yun didn't give up, she as a policewoman certainly couldn't give up. Qin Wan-er took the three people to the accident scene with her keen intuition. Jin Biao's car hadn't been towed away. Hello, I'm a policewoman. I want to ask if you know where the people in the car went. Qin Wan-er took out her ID and showed it to a towing traffic policeman. Seeing that Qin Wan-er was a beautiful woman, the traffic policeman was happy to answer. Hello, we didn't see the details. There were two people in the accident. The car owner was injured and went to the hospital. The other young man seemed to be a troublemaker and has been taken away by the police. Qin Wan-er frowned. The young man they were talking about must be Su Yun. However, how did Su Yun become a troublemaker? Officer Qin. Dan Hongning was a little worried. You must know the director of the Tuashan District Police Station. Qin Wan-er nodded. Qi Yishan? I saw him at a meeting in the bureau. Qi Yishan's mother and Wang Qing are cousins. He seems to call Jin Biao uncle. Dan Hongning took a deep breath and looked a little worried. Kong Zhong couldn't laugh for a while and said with a serious face, then Brother Yun is. Oh no, Brother Yun must be in trouble. Lu Feng turned and looked at Qin Wan. Officer Qin, what should we do? Qin Wan-er made a prompt decision. Of course, go to the Tuashan District Police Station and ask for him. In fact, Qin Wan-er was very clear that Su Yun wouldn't be taken advantage of. He was so honest and let the police take him away, because he didn't want to get her into trouble because of her identity. Otherwise, with Su Yun's character, how could he let them take him away? Chapter 67. Although Su Yun caught Jin Biao at the last moment, this place was not the Wenhui district. Qin Wan-er was not in the police station here. Jin Biao was escorted to the hospital, and Su Yun was taken to the police station. It was already past 9 o'clock in the evening. There were 3 people on duty in the police station. They looked young, in their early 20s. They were probably temporary policemen who had signed short-term contracts. The 2 policemen who brought Su Yun back directly threw Su Yun into the interrogation room and scolded, "Wait first." Su Yun did not stand on ceremony. He swaggered to the chair and sat down, but his ears did not miss any sounds outside. The eunuch who had brought Su Yun back with a sharp voice was the first to speak. "This brat is crazy enough. He directly beat up our uncle on the street. That Mercedes-Benz was even damaged by this brat. F***ck no way? Where did this kid come from?" Another voice asked. Su Yun had not heard this voice before. It might be one of the 3 people on duty in the station. Who knows? Anyway, he is dead. He dared to touch Jin Biao in our Tuachuo Mountain District. He is really tired of living. The eunuch said again. Who doesn't want to talk? Humph. Suddenly the phone in the station rang. The eunuch picked up the phone absent-mindedly. Who is it? As soon as he heard the response, the eunuch's expression immediately became serious. Hello, Station Chi. What are your arrangements? Don't worry, I promise to do this well. Good. Goodbye, Station Chi. After hanging up the phone, the eunuch whistled and said to the others, Brothers, Director Chi said that this kid is a tough nut to crack. He dared to steal a car on the road. We have to interrogate him properly. The few of them smiled. One of them understood the essence of it and raised his eyebrows. It seems that the missing cruise in Huiquan Garden a few days ago was also done by this guy, right? Not only the car in Huiquan community, but also the BMW in the Blue Mountain Bay Villa district. The eunuch laughed and waved to the few people. Brothers, let's get to work. The 5 of them walked into the interrogation room together. The tallest one turned off the surveillance camera directly. Su Yin sat on the chair with his hands behind his back and looked at them with a smile. It seemed that these people, other than the eunuch's voice, were not official police officers. To put it bluntly, they were temporarily hired to help. They were not authorized, and their salary was only 700 to 800 yuan. Do you want to confess on your own accord, or do you want to do something else? The eunuch purposely glanced at the surveillance camera and said to Su Yun, Our surveillance cameras will break down from time to time. So we will record everything you say and do on paper. The thinnest of the 5 sat down at the interrogation table and took out a pen and a record book. He looked up at Su Yin and said, All right, you can speak now. Where's Jin Biao? Su Yin didn't care about the topic of these people and directly asked. The few of them were startled. This brat was a thorn in their side. There wasn't even the slightest trace of fear on her face. However, the eunuch's voice soon understood. Since he dared to go against Jin Biao on the street, he was definitely not afraid of death. Of course, he was not easy to tame. However, he was not afraid. After all, Su Yin was handcuffed. No matter how good he was at fighting, he was just a piece of trash when his hands were cuffed behind his back. The tall police officer took out a rubber roller from nowhere and raised it with a sneer. Wait, give him a chance. The eunuch's voice waved his hand and said to the tall police officer. The tall police officer nodded. The man with the crew cut next to him took out a baton and threw it out. He said to the tall police officer, How many times have I told you? It doesn't hurt when you hit people with that thing. The tall police officer said disapprovingly, But I can't see any injuries with this thing. The crew cut snorted. We can just say that he attacked the police and wanted to escape. Anyway, there is no surveillance camera to prove anything. That's true. The tall police officer suddenly realized. The eunuch's voice saw that the 2 of them had said what they wanted to say. He waved his hand and said, Close the door. Su Yin couldn't help but feel a little amused as he watched them put on an act. If this was his first time in the police station, he would probably be scared stiff by their conversation. Intimidation and threats were the first method these people used to interrogate tough people. The eunuch's voice saw that the door of the interrogation room was closed and turned on the recording. He said to Su Yin, I have given you a chance. I hope you will cooperate. Tell me, why did you rob a car on the road? Su Yin didn't even look at that person and said disdainfully, Are you guys trying to frame me and convict me? The eunuch's voice was furious. He turned off the recording and glared at Su Yin. Don't think that I don't know that you are a hooligan from Wenhui District. Let me tell you, this is Tuashan District, not your Wenhui District. You still want to show off here? Then let me tell you, there is no way. What can you do? Su Yin smiled faintly. If you don't want to talk, I naturally have a way to make you talk. The eunuch's voice glared and said to the other 3. If we don't show him something, he might not know what we police do. The tall police officer followed the order and sent a kick forward. His large leather shoe swept forward with a strong gust of wind. Su Yun suddenly lifted the 3 supporting points of the chair, leaving only one chair leg on the ground. He gently turned it and easily avoided the tall police officer's kick. How could the other police officer not be angry when he saw this? He threw a punch at Su-yun. Su-yun did not get up and returned the chair leg to its original position. The eunuch's voice and the recorder were dumbfounded. They did not even see how this person did it. The crew-cut police officer steeled his heart and suddenly raised the baton in his hand, smashing it down on Su-yun's head. Since there were no cameras, he was not afraid of anything. However, the pure steel baton stopped before it landed on Su-yun's head. Su-yun raised his left hand and easily caught the baton that came crashing down like a bolt of lightning. Moreover, his face was full of disdain for the few of them. This kind of feeling was disdain. The crew-cut police officer tried to pull the baton back, but he could not pull it out at all. In anger, he grabbed the weapon with both hands and tried to take it back. The eunuch's voice was completely dumbfounded. He had handcuffed Su-yun's hands personally. How could it be unlocked inexplicably? Su-yun suddenly released the steel end of the baton in his hand. The crew-cut police officer used all his strength to take 2 steps back and hit his back on the wall. He was suddenly furious. F***ck. With a curse, the crew-cut police officer swung the baton again. How could a bad-tempered man like him endure such a contemptuous look from the person in front of him? Su-yun directly threw the handcuffs in his hand at the crew-cut police officer. The crew-cut police officer screamed and threw the baton in his hand. He held his wrist and squatted on the ground in pain. Pa-dash. The eunuch's voice angrily slammed the table and shouted, "You dare to attack a police officer? Do you know what crime this is?" Su-yun sneered and pointed at the camera. "There is no evidence. Are you going to bite me? Damn it." The eunuch's voice clenched his fist. "This bastard actually wants to play this game with me. Fine, I will let him see who is more ruthless. Brothers, this kid attacked a police officer. Today, we will beat him half to death. It is not a violation of the law." The eunuch's voice sneered. "Do it. I will take responsibility if anything happens." Once they heard the official police officer's words, they did not care about anything else. They raised the weapons in their hands and greeted Su-yun. Su-yun's feet didn't even move an inch. He only dodged to the left and right a few times and was completely unharmed. Before they could attack again, Su-yun's seemingly weak fist had already hit their abdomens. The few policemen who wanted to force a confession from him held their abdomens and squatted on the ground. They looked like they were in great pain. Especially the eunuch's voice. He was in so much pain that his forehead was full of sweat. Suddenly, the door of the interrogation room was pushed open. The middle-aged policeman that Su-yun had seen before appeared. "Deputy Chief Tian. This person attacked a police officer." The eunuch's voice said painfully. The middle-aged policeman frowned but did not speak. Chin Wonner appeared behind him. She saw that it was indeed Su-yun. She thought to herself, why did this guy not hold back in attack? "Yes, this is my informant," Chin Wonner said to the middle-aged policeman. "Deputy Chief Tian, Su-yun is my informant in the underworld. Chief Chen knows about this. If you don't believe me, you can call him." The middle-aged policeman frowned. This little girl actually used the bureau chief to pressure him, but after all, he was an old fox in the police world. He smiled slightly and said, "I can't make the decision on this matter. Instructor Chin, I think it's better to wait for our director Chi to come." While the two were talking, they heard the sound of a car stopping at the door. Chi Ishan heard that Chin Wonner had come to ask for someone. He was originally going to the hospital to see his uncle, Jin Biao. He directly turned around and rushed back to the station. I was wondering who it was. So it's Beauty Chin. It's already so late. There must be something important for you to come here, right?" Although it was night time, Chi Ishan was still wearing a neat uniform. His police rank was 1 level higher than Chin Wonner's. His official position was also 1 level higher. After Chin Wonner saw Chi Ishan, she smiled politely. "Chief Chi, the person you caught is my informant. I think we might have some misunderstanding, so I hope you can let him go." Chi Ishan was slightly stunned. "Informant? If you don't believe me, you can ask Chief Chen," Chin Wonner said calmly. In fact, there was no such thing. Chin Wonner was also quick-witted. There was no other way. Qi Yishan frowned. He knew that Qin Wan'er had made great contributions in the Wenhui district recently. Chief Chen was now very fond of her. Therefore, he would rather believe Qin Wan'er's words than not. Since he's Beauty Qin's informant, there must be a misunderstanding. Qi Yishan smiled slightly. Of course I'll let him go. Then Qi Yishan nodded to the middle-aged policeman. The middle-aged policeman was clearly surprised that Qi Yishan would be so straightforward. However, he still did as he was told. He said to Su Yin in the interrogation room, "You can come out now." The eunuch's voice was filled with pain as he shouted, "Chief Qi, you can't let him go. He attacked the police. He attacked us." Chapter 68. Qin Wan'er's brain almost exploded from anger. "Bastard Su Yin, you really make me worry. So what if I bear with it?" Assaulting a police officer was not a small crime. If Qi Yishan insisted on this, she would have to ask for help from Chief Chen to get him out. However, this small matter was brought to Chief Chen's attention. Furthermore, this was Tuashan's territory. Su Yin was in the wrong for assaulting a police officer. Qin Wan'er's mind was in a mess. What should she do? Assaulting a police officer? Su Yin was stunned. He said innocently, "I didn't touch you, okay? Aren't you accusing me wrongly? Why don't we look at the surveillance footage?" Seeing Su Yin's confident look, Qin Wan'er suddenly saw the light again. So those people were talking nonsense. She whispered to Su Yin, "You really didn't do anything, right?" Su Yin chuckled and whispered in her ear, "Just one punch per person." Ah! Qin Wan'er almost fainted on the spot. One punch was enough. Clearly, Qi Yishan didn't have any expression when he heard about the surveillance footage. However, the eunuch who walked out of the interrogation room while holding his stomach was unhappy. "Chief Qi, the surveillance footage is broken." Phew! Qin Wan'er let out a sigh of relief. She knew that these people must have wanted to do something to Su Yin, so they turned off the surveillance footage. Haha, now Qi Yishan must be suffering in silence. Since the surveillance footage is broken, there's nothing we can do. Qin Wan'er shrugged. "Chief Qi, is the surveillance footage really broken? Do you need me to fix it for you? I know how to fix it." "No need. Thank you for your kindness. My people can fix it themselves. How can I let a guest do such a small thing?" Qi Yishan's face turned ugly. He glared at his subordinates. "You said he hit you. Are there any injuries on his body?" The few people who were beaten seemed to have seen the light. They scrambled to say, "Yes, yes, yes." Qin Wan'er's heart sank again. This time it was over. Of course, she knew a little about the strength of Su Yin's fists. The people who were hit by his fists were either blue or purple. Since Su Yin had admitted to punching each of these people, it was inevitable that there would be evidence left behind. The eunuchs were the first to lift up their clothes. The sharp pain in their stomachs made them absolutely certain that there would be a large area of bruises. However, what surprised everyone was that there was not even a hint of redness on their white and clean stomachs, let alone any bruises. The few of them were dumbfounded. That brat was so ruthless that he almost made them vomit out their dinner, but he didn't even leave a mark. Qi Yishan's expression became even uglier. These bastards had really embarrassed him. Qin Wan'er finally let out a sigh of relief. Although she had her doubts, she still said to Qi Yishan calmly, "Director Qi, it seems that your people wrongly accused my informant. That's not good. Didn't Chief Chen say that although we're not in the same district, we're still family? Don't make things difficult for my informant, okay?" Qi Yishan forced out a smile. "Great Beauty Qin, what are you saying? How could I make things difficult for your informant?" Since the matter is clear, then you can leave. We have a meeting tonight, so please forgive us if we don't receive you well." "Then I'll thank you, Director Qi." Qin Wan'er smiled slightly. Su Yin didn't buy it. He went straight to the point. "Where's your uncle?" "What?" Qi Yishan's face darkened. "Friend, I don't understand what you're saying." "I said, where's your uncle, Jin Biao?" Su Yin didn't back down at all. Qi Yishan's face turned cold. "Friend, our Tuashan District Police Station will naturally take care of our own matters. You don't have to worry about this, right?" Su Yin didn't have any intention of giving up. But he caused trouble in the Wenhui district. His men even burned down a shop in the Hongnan district. Do you know about these matters? Qi Yishan saw that Su Yun didn't know how to appreciate his kindness and became angry. I don't care about that, and I can't be bothered to care. But today, Jin Biao got into an accident in my district. I have to take care of this matter. No one else has the right to interfere. Seeing that Su Yun still wanted to say something, Qin Wana stopped him. Su Yun didn't understand, but she understood the rules of the police world. Su Yun, this is Director Qi's place. Of course, Director Qi will take care of this matter. Understood. Su Yun smiled and didn't say anything else. The two left the police station one after the other. The 3 cars of the southern city's 3 tigers were waiting at the entrance. When they saw Qin Wan bring Su Yun out, they finally let out a sigh of relief. Now they could go home with peace of mind. After the 2 of them left, Qi Yishan flew into a rage. Do I want you bastards to eat for free? You can't even interrogate one person. And you even made up an excuse that he attacked the police. You should have made up a better story. It's fine if I injure myself a little. You didn't even have a scar. How dare you accuse him of attacking the police? The eunuch's throat was bleeding from the scolding, and his lower abdomen was still hurting. Director Qi, we're telling the truth. He really hit us. Then what about the wound? Qi Yishan heard that he was still being stubborn. He went forward and tore open his clothes. Let me see. Halfway through his words, Qi Yishan's voice suddenly stopped. A fist-sized bruise on the eunuch's throat and abdomen could be seen. The others were also dumbfounded. They all tore open their own clothes. It wasn't a big deal. Just a moment ago, they were all soft and tender. Now, they all had bruises on their abdomens. This time, they were all stunned. What the hell was going on? This was strange. Qi Yishan was also confused. Wasn't there no wound? Why was it now? It was simply unbelievable. Was that guy a magician? Director Qi, we now have evidence that he attacked the police. The eunuch pointed at his abdomen and said angrily. Qi Yishan glared at him. You have evidence now? What did you do just now? I personally let him go. Then, you went back on your words and captured him to accuse him of attacking the police? Humph, can't this wound be caused by us? Don't tell me he won't bite us back. There's no video or evidence. Everything is bullshit. Yes. The eunuch quickly lowered his head and said. From now on, the interrogations will be F*King on camera. Qi Yishan was so angry that his whole body trembled. You abused the power I gave you? You shot yourself in the foot. Serves you right. After Su Yun and the rest returned to the Wenhui district, they went their separate ways. Dan Hongning drove Su Yun and Qin Weiner back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Kong Zhong sent Chang and Xiao Fei back to the slums. Lu Feng said goodbye and left first. He wanted to find that bastard in the infantry and interrogate him. He would never forgive him for betraying his brothers. When Su Yun and Qin Weiner returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, it was already midnight. You're back. Cho Yun had been waiting for them. Those people have been taken away. Qin Weiner nodded. I was the one who called the station. Did anyone escape? Su Yun smiled slightly. You underestimate Cho Yun too much. With her here, of course there won't be any fish that escapes the net. Cho Yun was still cold and did not continue the topic. She got up and walked to the stairs. Sister Qing Shuang and Guogua are asleep. You guys should rest early too. Well, you should rest early too. Su Yun nodded to Cho Yun, then poured 2 glasses of water, and handed one to Qin Weiner. Are you satisfied with what happened today? Qin Weiner rolled her eyes at Su Yun. Of course not. I also heard that Jin Biao and Qi Yishan have a relationship. But every industry has its own rules. They can't cross the border to arrest people, unless they can't catch them. Since Jin Biao was arrested by the police station under Tuashan's jurisdiction, if I still want him, it will be a slap in their face. Even if this matter is brought to the municipal bureau, I will be the one who is in the wrong. Although Su Yun was a little unhappy, it wasn't to the extent that he would do anything because of this small matter. Then we've wasted our time today. As long as Jin Biao finds someone to take the blame, You police officers who are particular about evidence won't be able to do anything to him. Besides, he still has a nephew to back him up. I won't let him go so easily." Qin Weiner clenched her fists and looked righteous. Then she seemed to think of something and asked, "Since you admit that you hit them, why are they not injured at all?" Su Yin raised his hand and looked at his fist. Qin Weiner could not understand his smile. "I don't know. Maybe they have thick skin and can take a beating." Qin Weiner looked suspicious. "Do you think I will believe you?" "It's up to you to believe it or not." Su Yin yawned. "I am sleepy." "Aren't you sleepy?" Qin Weiner raised her head and looked at her watch. It was already so late. She couldn't help but stretch her tired arms and stretch her willowy waist. Her breasts were even more prominent. "Nonsense, who isn't sleepy? I'm exhausted. What kind of weekend is this? I didn't rest for 18 hours. Sleep together? Su Yin narrowed his eyes and peeked at Qin Wener's voluptuous breasts. He spoke in a frivolous manner. "Do you want to die?" Qin Weiner's right eyebrow trembled. She looked murderous and her eyes were cold. Su Yin quickly ran away. "You think too much. I am talking about the time. Su Yin, I will kill you." "Be quiet. Guogua is asleep. Bastard, don't use Guogua as a shield." After escaping from Qin Weiner's evil hands, Su Yin took a simple shower and sat cross-legged on the bed. These days he felt that there were some small changes in his state of mind. According to his previous experience, this was the feeling of breaking through. When the bottleneck loosened, it would be the day he would break through. Although this was a good sign, there was also a hidden omen. This was because his master had once told Su Yin that being able to sense one's state of mind in advance was a mixed blessing. Knowing in advance that one was about to break through would allow one to prepare for the breakthrough. However, this perception could also be telling one that they had reached the end, which meant that they would never be able to break through again. The most important thing was that people who were suppressed by their inner demons were likely to have reached the end of their state of mind training. Phew. Su Yin took a deep breath. If this meant that he could no longer break through, then he would never be able to break through the bottleneck of a first-class master. He would never be able to step into the ranks of a super master. F***ck, then won't I be like this for the rest of my life? Su Yin could not help but curse. His words made those who could not break through the bottleneck of a second-class master feel embarrassed. Chapter 69. After meditating for a while, Su Yin finally calmed down. It seemed that he had to find a way to break through the devil in his heart. Otherwise, he could only be a dabbler in martial arts for the rest of his life. Alas, thinking of this, Su Yin felt a little regretful. He was such a talented young man. His master once said that his future was limitless. Every brother around him was envious of his natural talent. There were not many people who could become a first-class master at the age of 18. Su Yin was one of them. For several years, everyone had been expecting Su Yin to become the first person in the world to become a super master before the age of 25. However, no one had expected that he would be suppressed by the devil in his heart because of Yinlong's tragic death. He had not made any progress in his martial arts for a whole year. It was only one step away. Although Su Yin still looked frivolous on the surface, in his heart, he wanted to get rid of the devil in his heart more than anyone else. This was also the reason why Su Yin had left the place. The huge pressure had forced him to choose to withdraw. Because of the slight change in his state of mind, Su Yin did not sleep well that night. At night, he heard Cho Yun go in and out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant 3 times. He could see that she was really worried about the S-level wanted criminal that Qin Weiner had mentioned. After getting up early in the morning, everyone went to work. Sunday was a beautiful day for the workers who had a weekend off. However, for Su Yin and the others, it was much busier. Because there were people who came to eat at 10 o'clock, they got up late and had breakfast and lunch together. Except for Qin Weiner, who had left early in the morning, the others were not idle in the restaurant. The restaurant in the Hongnan district was forced to close. Chang and Xiaofei also went to the restaurant here to stay. Qin Weiner was originally resting. However, because so many people from Jinbiao in the Eastern District had been arrested yesterday, she was worried and rushed to the police station early in the morning. However, it was too late when she arrived. Xiao Wu told her that those people were bailed out last night. Moreover, Director Lu had informed them, so they did not dare to ask more. Hearing this, Qin Wan'er was about to explode. Lu Guangming released all of them? Xiao Wu was shocked by Qin Wan'er's reaction. She quickly gestured for her to keep quiet. Sister Qin, can you lower your voice? You are really my sister. Inspector Lu came early this morning and is upstairs. Aren't you afraid that he will hear you? So what if I heard? I still need to ask him about it. Qin Wan'er could tolerate it in the police station in Tuashan district yesterday, but she could not tolerate it in her own district. After she finished speaking, she turned around and went upstairs to find Lu Guangming. Little Five was dumbfounded. Wasn't Sister Qin's temper a little too big? He actually went to argue with Inspector Lu. After Qin Wan'er went upstairs, she directly pushed open Lu Guangming's office without knocking on the door. Lu Guangming was on the phone. Seeing Qin Wan'er's angry face, he couldn't help but be startled. He said into the phone, I have something to do. I'll talk to you later. That's all for now. As soon as Lu Guangming hung up the phone, Qin Wan'er directly asked, Inspector Lu, why did you release all the people you arrested yesterday? Little Qin, I was just about to talk to you about this. Lu Guangming's face was obviously a little embarrassed. After all, he was the head of this police station. Qin Wan'er talking to him like this was more or less disrespectful to him. Qin Wan'er's tone did not soften at all. I just want to know why you released them. Is it not a crime to stir up trouble? You released the people you arrested yesterday. What kind of background do they have to make you do this? Lu Guangming also put on a serious face. Qin Wan'er, I am the inspector in this station. I have the right to do anything. It is not your turn to tell me what to do. So what? Can the inspector bend the law for personal gain? Qin Wan'er used the word a little too seriously. Bang! Lu Guangming angrily slammed the table and stood up. Qin Wan'er, do you think that you can do whatever you want just because you made a few contributions? I am not afraid to tell you that yesterday's incident was reported to me by Inspector Qi in Tuashan district. It was just a small matter. I was just doing him a favor. It is not that I didn't ask Xiao Wu and the others. These people did not affect the shop at all. We have no evidence to arrest them. On the contrary, the staff of the shop beat them up. They have already taken a step back by not suing the person who beat them up. Is this how the society is now? Qin Wan'er sneered. As long as you have some connections, you can bite back? Lu Guangming snorted. Qin Wan'er, I haven't asked you yet. Why did you go to the police station in Tuashan district yesterday? Also, how come I didn't know that you had an informant? Do you think you are acting in a Hong Kong police movie? This is Huaxia. Do you know that the informant you want attacked a police officer? I have already covered up the matter for you. What else do you want? Qin Wan'er did not take it seriously. She said, my informant is under my direct command. The fewer people who know, the better. Also, they said that my people beat people up. Do you believe them? Where is the evidence? Lu Guangming took out his phone and showed her an MMS message. He threw it directly on the table. This is the evidence. Qin Wan'er glanced at it and was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. The people in the picture were indeed the ones from yesterday. Each of them had a fist-sized bruise on their abdomen. However, there was no bruise yesterday. How did Su Yin do it? You have nothing to say now. Lu Guangming saw that Qin Wan'er's emotions had calmed down a bit. He said, Little Qin, you are still young. You have to learn to be tactful in everything you do. If you save face for others, they will also save face for you in the future. Qin Wan'er had already understood what Lu Guangming meant. Director Lu, I understand. That is to say, everyone is turning a blind eye to the fact that Qi Yishan colluded with the head of the underworld in Tuashan district? Lu Guangming did not deny it, but he did not nod. Little Qin, I advise you not to meddle in the business of the neighboring district. You should pay more attention to the business of the Wenhui district. Recently, there is a rumor about a big sister of the underworld. Have you heard about it? Qin Wan'er knew who the big sister of the underworld was. She said, If I know who it is, I will not let him go. But now I have to go to the Municipal Public Security Bureau and ask Director Chin. Chi Ishan is an accomplice to a villain. He does not deserve to be the director of Tuashan District. You want to sue Director Chin? Lu Guangming thought that he had misheard. Qin Wan'er walked out of Lu Guangming's office without looking back. Lu Guangming came to his senses after a long time, but he did not stop Qin Wan'er. In fact, it was not a bad thing for him. After all, Qi Yishan was also his opponent when he entered the city bureau. If Qi Yishan had the reputation of colluding with the underworld, then compared to his reputation of eliminating evil, the difference would be even greater. When that time came, it would be obvious who would become the deputy bureau chief. Qin Wan had made a name for herself in the Hudong Municipal Public Security Bureau because of several meritorious deeds. Many people saw her coming and greeted her with a smile to show their friendliness. After all, everyone was sure that she would be transferred to be a leader because of her outstanding work. Qin Wan'er responded with a smile. Xiao Qin, why are you here? The head of the legal department smiled when he saw Qin Wan'er. Qin Wan'er obviously could not remember so many people's names. She only knew that he was the head of the legal department. Hello, leader. I have something to report to Director Chen. Today? Today is Sunday. The head of the legal department was stunned. Director Chen is off today. Qin Wan'er suddenly realized that she was just anxious and forgot about the weekend. She could only forget about it. She could only wait until the next day to say, I'm sorry, I forgot. Haha, then I won't bother you guys anymore. I'll leave first. Don't you want to stay? The head of the legal department asked politely. Thank you, but no. Goodbye. Qin Wan'er turned and left quickly. She had just walked out of the office when a police car stopped in front of her. The door opened, and Chen Wei got out of the car. He was stunned when he saw Qin Wan'er. Xiao Qin? Why are you here? Qin Wan'er was happy. What a coincidence. Before Qin Wan'er could say anything, Chen Wei spoke first. I have something to tell you. Come to my office. I want to show you something. Tell me? Qin Wan'er did not understand. Why was Director Chen looking for her? Did a director have to report to her? Well, Qin Wan'er thought that she was too naive. Chen Wei was indeed a low-key person. Although Hudong City was not big, it was at least a prefecture-level city. As the director of the Public Security Bureau, his rank was not low. However, the car he was in was an old-model Passat. Compared to those directors who dared to buy cars worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions of yuan, Chen Wei was definitely a good leader who followed the law. What are you thinking about? Let's go. Chen Wei saw that Qin Wan'er was in a daze, so he called her again. Qin Wan'er quickly nodded and followed him. She thought that if all the directors in the country were like Director Qin, the public security in Huaxia would be improved by a few levels. Soon Qin Wan'er and Chen Wei arrived at the office. Chen Wei made a phone call. In less than a minute, a fax was sent from the fax machine. It was a photo with a few lines of words below it. Chen Wei took out the fax and handed it to Qin Wan'er. In the photo was a man in his 30s. He looked a little ugly, but his eyes were vicious. There was a clear line of words below the photo. Hao Kai, male, 30 years old, Han nationality, registered address unknown, height 1.75 meters, medium build, square face, beard, high cheekbones, wide nose, sunken eyes, thick lips, dark red hair. He is a national S-level wanted criminal. The Public Security Bureau will reward citizens who provide accurate information with 500,000 yuan. Citizens who find clues to report, please call 110 police or report to the local Public Security Bureau. Those who do not report, cover up or harbor the criminal will be prosecuted according to the law. Qin Wan'er was stunned after reading it. The S-level wanted criminal who might enter Hudong City was this person. Chapter 70. Qin Wan'er looked at the warrant for a long time and said, Director Chen, is this what you want to tell me? Yes. Chen Wei nodded and smiled at Qin Wan'er. Qin, do you know why I want to tell you this? Looking at Chen Wei's serious expression, Qin Wan'er was a little confused. Since the arrest warrant has been issued, and everyone has the right to report, then all the police officers should know about this. Chief Chen, you told me in advance because you want me to go back to the station and inform everyone, right? Chen Wei smiled faintly. I've already informed them on the way here. I'll get Xiao Li to fax over the picture of this wanted criminal. You don't have to worry about this. I'm telling you because there is another reason. Qin Wan frowned. What reason? Chen Wei pointed at the sofa and said to Qin Wan, have a seat. Take the water yourself. There are paper cups in the kitchen. No need, Director Chen. Qin Wan sat down. Chen Wei then said, do you remember Gong Yu, the A-level wanted criminal you killed on the spot? Qin Wan nodded. Yes. Maybe there are some things that I shouldn't say, but I have to say it now. Qin, I have been a police officer for so many years. I have been in all kinds of armed police, special police, and criminal police departments. Chen Wei said seriously, I can't believe that you can kill a national A-level wanted criminal with your ability. When Qin Wan heard that, she felt a little guilty. Her expression changed slightly. Indeed, if it weren't for Su Yun and Cho Yun that night, she wouldn't have dared to shoot. She wouldn't have had the chance to do so. Chen Wei caught the change in Qin Wan's expression. Haha, that's why I've been wondering if there is someone who is secretly helping you. This is a good thing. I really hope that everyone can help us in times of crisis. After all, some of the suspects are not simple. Director Chen, I understand what you mean. Qin Wan nodded. You want me to find someone who can help us, right? Chen Wei maintained his calm smile. Yes, if you are willing to help me, I am very happy that you are willing to do so. This Hao Kai is really not an ordinary person. You should remember the prison break on 8/12. This person is too terrifying. Of course, Qin Wan remembered such a big case. The suspect went to Suang City to guard a prison for serious crimes. He helped people escape from prison, killed 2 prison guards, and stole guns. A criminal police officer who had been tracking him suddenly disappeared halfway. Half a year later, he was confirmed dead. In the end, Hao Kai was surrounded by the armed police in a small hotel. When he broke out, he killed 3 special police soldiers with his bare hands. One person had killed 6 people in a short period of time, and all of them were members of the police force. Such a vile case was really rare. In the end, the suspect took the hostage and escaped. After that, it was difficult to find him again. After half a year of investigating this person, they only knew that his name was Hao Kai and that he was a member of a mysterious organization. He didn't know anything else. Hao Kai, who had disappeared, suddenly came into the police's sight again. It was all because of a report by a passenger on a flight from Suang to Hudong. One of the 3 special police officers who died in that major case was a relative of the informant. The informant just said that it looked like the person, but he was not sure. Because he knew that the suspect was very terrifying, he did not dare to say anything on the plane. After a week of confirmation, the police could basically be sure that the person who appeared on the plane was indeed Hao Kai himself. Seeing that Qin Wan did not speak, Chen Wei said again, I don't know if I am thinking too much, but I always feel that you have a benefactor helping you. Haha, the 4th Wolf Gang and the Knife and Axe Gang have always been the 2 most troublesome gangs in Wenhui District. You can get rid of them because of that benefactor, right? Director Chen, don't worry. I will do my duty as a police officer. Qin Wan did not directly admit the existence of Su Yun. No matter what method I use, as long as I can do something for public security, I will not be stingy, no matter if I have a benefactor helping me or not. Chen Wei was very pleased, but he was also a little worried. Little Qin, your idea is good, but I have to remind you of something. Go ahead. Chen Wei's expression was serious. If you encounter this person, don't confront him directly. He is really not the kind of horror you can imagine. After all, Qin Wan was a person with character. She would not agree to this kind of request so early. Director Chen, if I encounter him, I will use my brain. I will not be stupid enough to confront him directly. No, Chen Wei refused immediately. Back then, the criminal police officer who was killed because of him was our country's famous model police officer, Comrade Jiang Ji. Even he couldn't escape from Hao Kai's evil hands. You can't take advantage of him at all. Jiang Ji, the champion of the National Police Comprehensive Competition for 2 consecutive years, was so tragically killed. Until now, no one had found his body. Just based on this point, it was clear how dangerous it was to capture Hao Kai. Qin Wan'er saw that Chen Wei was so serious and nodded seriously. I understand, Director Chen. If there is nothing else, I will go back first. Chen Wei nodded. Go. Remember what I said. Don't put yourself in danger. Qin Wan'er smiled and took the arrest warrant out of the director's office. Her mind was a little confused. It turned out that Director Chen knew that there was someone helping her behind the scenes. He just did not say anything. Now that he wanted help, he had no choice but to say it. Qin Wan'er called a taxi and went back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. On the way, she suddenly remembered that she came to the bureau to look for Chen Wei to sue Qi Yishan for colluding with gangs. Because of what Chief Chen had said, she had forgotten about that matter. Now that she thought about it, it was good that she did not mention it. Now that such an important criminal suspect had entered Hudong City, Director Chen must be physically and mentally exhausted. Telling him about it now would only give him a headache. Since that was the case, she had to think of a way to arrest Hao Kai. That way, Director Chen would have time to rectify the behavior of the leaders, especially those like Qi Yishan who were suspected of colluding with gangs. They had to be strictly investigated. Arresting Hao Kai? Qin Wan'er was still too inexperienced. When she returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, it was the peak time for customers. As soon as she entered, Guogua asked her to help Cho Yun serve the dishes. Because Su Yun was too busy, Wan Qingshuang had been helping in the kitchen. Qin Wan'er could only put the matter of the wanted criminal aside. She had to send the customers away first. She ate and stayed here for free every day. If she did not put in some effort, it would not be right. From 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, Su Yun was so busy that he did not even have time to drink water. Finally, they sent the last customer away. They were so tired that they sat on the chairs and did not want to move. Su Yun brought out the dishes he had prepared. Let's eat. Guogua still had an appetite. The lunch money had almost exceeded 20,000 yuan. Naturally, she ate with relish. She even recited a poem. Hoeing grain at noon, sweat dripping into the soil. Who knows that every grain on the plate is hard work? Guogua, you're so awesome. Qin Wan'er clapped her hands. You're so awesome. I wasn't as awesome as you when I was young. Guogua looked proud. She waved her hand and said, You're so annoying. Even if you say that about me, I won't be proud. Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang were completely speechless. But you're obviously proud. Mom, do you want me to tell everyone what you said in your sleep last night? Guogua threatened. Ruan Qingshuang was stunned. What did I say? Do you really want me to say it? You say. Guogua bent her waist and then narrowed her eyes with ecstasy. Su Yun, don't. Su Yun felt a chill behind him. What the F***CK? What did she mean? Ruan Qingshuang's face quickly turned red. She did not remember that she had a dream last night. How could she call out Su Yun's name? And what did she mean by don't? Cho Yun was still eating quietly as if nothing had happened. Qin Wan'er finally understood after a long time. She laughed on the spot. Guogua's expression just now was as ecstasy as it could be. It was simply vivid. It showed Ruan Qingshuang's shy expression incisively and vividly. Guogua, what do you think Mom meant when she said don't ? Qin Wan'er deliberately mischievous to start the topic. Ruan Qingshuang stared at her. Wan'er, what nonsense are you talking about? Ugh. Su Yun continued to eat silently, and did not dare to say anything. Guogua touched her chin and said seriously, I think that when a woman says don't, it means the opposite. It means want. Su Yun could not help but imagine a picture in his mind. Ruan Qingshuang said to him in a naked body, Su Yun, I want. Puff. Su Yun almost choked to death. Su Yun swore that he would never think of things in the same way as Guogua in his life. It would be easy for him to go crazy. Because of Guogua, the meal ended so easily and happily. In order to avoid embarrassment, Ruan Qingshuang cleaned up the table and ran to the kitchen to wash the dishes. She did not let anyone help her. Guogua had really embarrassed her just now. Cho Yun was going to take Guogua upstairs to rest. Su Yun also thought about going to the front desk to sleep. At this time, Qin Wan'er took out the wanted order and slapped it directly on the table. The wanted order has been issued. The S-level national wanted criminal has been confirmed to be hiding in Hudong City. This sentence made Su Yun not sleepy at all. His first reaction was to look at Cho Yun, who was about to take Guogua upstairs. Cho Yun trembled and stopped. She patted Guogua and said, "Guogua, go upstairs first. I will go up in a while." Guogua was full and only wanted to sleep. She did not care about the wanted criminal. She went upstairs alone to take a nap. Chapter 71. Su Yun picked up the warrant. His eyelids twitched, and he could not help but smile bitterly. Haha, this guy is really tricky. Su Yun. Qin Wan'er saw Cho Yun turn around and leave, so she could only pin her hope on Su Yun. I don't know if you have heard of this Hao Kai. He killed 6 police officers and soldiers in a row. That's a heinous crime. Su Yun frowned unconsciously. I hope you can help me, Qin Wan'er said. Qin Wan'er said, I want to catch this man. He is an extremely dangerous criminal. Otherwise, he would not have been listed as an S-level wanted criminal. This man is cruel and merciless. He is even more merciless to the police. I can't tolerate such a person getting away with it. Su Yun was so shocked that he sneezed. This woman must be crazy. Did you get kicked in the head by a donkey? Since you know this man is so dangerous, why do you still want to provoke him? Qin Wan'er ignored Su Yun. She looked at Cho Yun's back, who turned around and went upstairs. Cho Yun was stunned after hearing Qin Wan'er's words, but she still went upstairs. After living together in the medicinal cuisine house for a while, Qin Wan'er did not find Cho Yun doing anything excessive. Although she still could not trust this woman, she still wanted her help because she was sure that Cho Yun and Su Yun were not ordinary people. I have to catch him. Qin Wan'er did not look like she was joking at all. Since he came to Hudong City, as a police officer, I can't let him continue to do whatever he wants. It's your right not to help me. I just want to fight for it. Su Yun shrugged. I don't dare to take such a dangerous job. I'm not a police officer. Qin Wan'er took back the warrant from Su Yun. She looked a little disappointed. Then pretend I didn't say anything. Don't let Sister Frost know about this. Don't let her worry. You're afraid that she'll advise you not to be so impulsive. Su Yun exposed her. Qin Wan'er, let me remind you. You better not be stupid enough to confront an S-class wanted criminal. You are like an ant in front of him. He can decide whether or not to kill you in a matter of seconds. So what? Qin Wan'er snapped. When I killed Gong Yu, I was no match for him either. Su Yun smacked his head. You still have the nerve to say that? If it wasn't for me blocking the bullets for you, and if it wasn't for Cho Yun stabbing that bastard a few times, you wouldn't even have a chance to shoot. If I had known earlier that he was a wanted criminal, I would have shot him. Qin Wan'er said. None of this would have happened. Su Yun snorted. Do you think that bullets are the fastest thing in the world? Qin Wan'er was stunned by Su Yun's words. She remembered the scene from that night. That's right. Su Yun's explosive power at that moment was even faster than a bullet. He could react in 0.3 seconds, which was completely beyond the limits of a human. In this world, people who can rely on explosive power to dodge bullets are not lucky. I know a lot of people. Su Yun didn't deny that he was a freak. So even if you had shot him that day, you might not have killed him. Without giving Qin Wan'er a chance to speak, Su Yun continued. Gong Yu is just an A-class wanted criminal. You are a police officer. Don't you understand the difference between an S-class and an A-class wanted criminal? The difference between the two is not small. Qin Wan'er clenched her fists. That's why I need your help. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. Su Yun still didn't agree to Qin Wan'er's request. I don't want to provoke this kind of person. If I do, I will get into big trouble. What are you talking about? Ruan Qingxuang walked out after washing the dishes. Seeing Qin Wan'er's depressed face, she asked with concern. Wan'er, what's wrong? Did you encounter something that made you unhappy? Qin Wan forced a smile. Sister Qingshuang, I'm fine. I'm just a little tired. Then go upstairs and rest, Wan Qingshuang quickly said. Qin Wan nodded and didn't say anything. Since she couldn't persuade Su Yun, she couldn't force him. After all, everyone had the right to choose. She could only rely on herself. After Qin Wan went upstairs, Wan Qingshuang said to Su Yun, "You look after the shop. I'm going to buy some herbs." "I'll go." Su Yun stood up. "No need. I'm going to buy some other things on the way." Wan Qingshuang refused Su Yun, and then quickly left the medicinal cuisine house. Phew. Su Yun raised his head and looked at the ceiling. Red Scorpion, such a troublesome person, would appear in a small city like Hudong. He was afraid that it was really because of Guogua, right? Su Yun carefully thought about Cho Yun's expression and reaction. He couldn't help but confirm his own thoughts. No wonder the legendary Feng Qiansui would be eliminated in such a short period of time. The opponent really didn't appear. Even a first-rate expert like Red Scorpion had made a move. What a big move. Light footsteps suddenly came from the stairs. Cho Yun slowly walked down the stairs. Her face was full of helplessness. "Are you really worried about this person?" Su Yun couldn't help but ask. Cho Yun nodded. Her expression was grave as she said, "When Qin Wan mentioned that an S-rank wanted criminal entered Hudong City, I began to worry. I always had a trace of hope that it wasn't true. But now it seems that it can be confirmed." Su Yun smiled slightly. "Your injuries are all healed, right?" Cho Yun frowned. "At least 80 to 90% recovered." "Hee, then it's hard to say if you can resist him." Su Yun was very clear that a first-rate expert who lost 10% of their power would have a hard time contending with an opponent of the same level. Cho Yun said somewhat self-deprecatingly, "Even if my internal injuries were healed and there were no problems, it would still be very difficult for me to fight against Red Scorpion." "Then is Poison Scorpion more dignified than you? A fox venerable?" Su Yun was stunned for a moment. Cho Yun's gaze made him stop talking. Cho Yun's pair of bright eyes were like autumn water. If it wasn't for the frightening coldness between her brows, she would definitely be able to charm people to death. The two of them looked at each other and didn't speak for a long time. Finally, Cho Yun spoke. "You know my strength very well, but I don't know yours. Su Yun, I know you don't want to say, so I won't ask who you are. I just want to ask you, is what you said to Qin Wan true?" "What did I say to her?" Su Yun was stunned. "You said you don't want to provoke this kind of person," Cho Yun said lightly. "If that's the case, I'll take Guogua and leave tonight." Su Yun frowned. "What do you mean?" "I'll find a way to deal with it myself." Cho Yun was very serious. "I also know how big of a trouble it will be to provoke them. I don't have anything to repay you, so I don't want to trouble you." Su Yun smiled bitterly. "Then as a godfather, I'm too cowardly. Red Scorpion isn't like Gong Yu or Qin Hu. Although I don't know if you're from the underground world, since you've heard of him, I think you should know how strong he is." Cho Yun's expression was dim. I did tell Qin Wan, or that I don't want to get into trouble," Su Yun said with a smile. "But I said that if people don't provoke me, I won't provoke them. If he wants to harm my precious daughter, of course I won't sit back and do nothing." Cho Yun's body trembled. She looked at Su Yun with confusion. "Don't look at me like that. I'm not a bad person." Su Yun felt uncomfortable being stared at by Cho Yun. "From the day I recognized Guogua as my daughter, I have the obligation to protect her and be her shield. Her problems are my problems. If anyone dares to harm her, they'll be harming me. You better not do anything extreme. If you take Guogua away at night, not only will Sister Shuang and I not forgive you, but Guogua won't forgive you either." Cho Yun finally calmed down. It didn't matter if Wan Qingshuang or Su Yun didn't forgive her. But what about Guogua? If even Guogua didn't forgive her, what should she do? Although Su Yun wasn't relaxed, he could only pretend to be calm. No matter how big of a matter it is, it'll pass. It wasn't known if Guogua also had a sixth sense. She originally went to her room to take an afternoon nap, but when she heard Cho Yun come downstairs, she also got up. She heard every single word of the conversation between Cho Yun and Su Yun. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. If Scarlet Scorpion comes, there's Godfather to hold him back. Guogua finally couldn't hold back. While walking downstairs, she expressed her inner thoughts. Sister Cho-yun, I don't want to leave. Cho-yun's heart softened. She completely lost her own ideas. She also didn't want to leave, but she really didn't know how much longer she could hold on. Scarlet Scorpion was already an opponent she couldn't control. Even if she was lucky enough to escape this calamity with Su-yun's help. What about the next time? What about the next time? Only the heavens knew if there would be a day when Green Demon personally appeared in front of her again. Regarding this thought, Cho-yun was both afraid and expectant. She hoped that there would be a day when she could personally deal with this person. But she also knew that she had no chance of winning. If that day really came, she was afraid that she would no longer be able to protect Guogua. That's a must. Su-yun laughed mischievously at Guogua. I absolutely can't let my daughter suffer. Guogua rushed into Su-yun's embrace with a happy expression. Hee, I just knew that Daddy treats Guogua the best. Here, Guogua didn't forget the matter of me agreeing to help you take a photo. As she spoke, Guogua handed over Ruan Qingshuang's phone to Su-yun. He opened the photo album. Although the photo was dark and not particularly clear, Su-yun could still faintly see Ruan Qingshuang's graceful figure lying on the bed in a perfect S shape, wearing only her underwear. Damn, he didn't acknowledge this daughter for nothing. Let alone Scarlet Scorpion. Even if Scarlet Scorpion's father came, Su-yun would absolutely fight. For the photo, he would fight. He had to fight. But right now, the most important task should be to first give Guogua a digital camera with better photo quality at night. Dad nosebleed. Guogua helplessly shook her head. You can't even handle this little bit of stimulation. That's a bit too weak. I originally wanted to take a photo of something even more explosive. No problem, I can handle it. Su-yun admitted. Even if he spat out blood and died, it would be worth it. Chapter 72. Ruan Qingshuang soon returned from the pharmacy. Guogua pretended that nothing had happened and quickly deleted the photos in her phone. She ran to Ruan Qingshuang with a bright face. Mom, you forgot to take your phone when you went out. Thank you, Guogua. Ruan Qingshuang took the phone and put it in her pocket. She didn't realize that she had been betrayed by this little girl. Su-yun felt a chill in his heart. He suspected that Guogua had also betrayed him like this. What a black-bellied little evildoer. She really was the kind of person who wanted others to help her count the money after she betrayed them. Cho-yun said that she was going out for a walk and walked out of the medicinal cuisine house. Now that Red Scorpion had appeared, she had to be more careful. Cho-yun almost walked around Hudong and found that the biggest change was that many conspicuous places were pasted with Red Scorpion's wanted posters. It was no wonder that Qin Wan'er would come to Su-yun and her for help with the wanted posters. Since the police had put in so much effort, Cho-yun also directly found the southern city's 3 tigers and had them mobilize all the hoodlums. As long as someone discovered Red Scorpion, they were to immediately inform her. Furthermore, they also used Qin Wan'er's name to guarantee that if anyone's information was accurate, they would definitely give a reward of 500,000. Hearing that there was so much money, many people were envious. Dan Hongning asked weakly, Sister Yan, how much money do you think we will get if we catch this person? Cho-yun looked at Dan Hongning coldly. I'm afraid you won't have the life to spend this money. The police only give a reward for information, not a bounty. If you want a bounty, I can tell you that this person's head is more than 8 digits. 8 digits? What the hell, more than 10 million? The bounty that Cho-yun mentioned was, of course, not given by the police. The police didn't have so much money. The bounty that Cho-yun mentioned was the fiend spirit list that was recognized by the underground world. This was a wanted list, and only those who were famous in the underground world could have a name on it. Cho-yun did not know who set up the list, and what was the basis for determining the value of the bounty hunters. All she knew was that her head, which was worth $13 million, was wanted by many people. If you don't want to die, don't alert the enemy. Cho-yun said coldly. This person is not someone you can deal with. The 3 tigers of Southern City couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Cho Yun said that the person was so terrifying, it really made people feel scared. Even with the support of Su Yun and Cho Yun, the three of them couldn't help but tremble in fear. Qin Wan-er received a call from the bureau. The bureau chief, Chen Wei, had temporarily transferred her to the task force and asked her to cooperate with the criminal police. This was undoubtedly giving Qin Wan-er more pressure. Chen Wei only thought that Qin Wan-er had a noble behind her, but Qin Wan-er didn't tell him that the noble behind her refused this matter. From the beginning to the end, Su Yun didn't agree to help her for a reason. It was because Su Yun knew that the police were very troublesome. As long as he agreed, Qin Wan-er's leader would definitely make all kinds of demands. At that time, he would be the one who would have a headache. Now Su Yun didn't agree, but if they really encountered that dangerous guy, of course he wouldn't sit idly by. After all, that bastard's purpose of coming to Hudong was his goddaughter, Guogua. He should be more nervous than the police. Although Guogua also understood that it might not be peaceful recently, she couldn't fully understand the world of adults. As for how dangerous the danger was, she had no idea. However, after all, Guogua had experienced the experience of being pulled down from the clouds by the Feng family, so her psychological endurance was much stronger than that of ordinary children. Wan Qingshuang, who was kept in the dark, still put all her thoughts on the medicinal cuisine house. Today, Hudong TV station would broadcast yesterday's recording of the medicinal cuisine house. She turned on the TV excitedly. With this promotion, she believed that the business of the medicinal cuisine house would be better. Now, in addition to the main restaurant, the medicinal cuisine house had opened 6 branches. Moreover, medicinal cuisine had appeared on the menu of many hotels and restaurants. Some were promoted by the Three Tigers of Nanchang through their connections, and some were directly pirated when they saw that it was profitable. It could be said that medicinal cuisine was completely popular in Hudong City in a short period of time. As for those pirated guys, Su Yun was also ready to teach them a lesson. They could join, but they had to pay the joining fee. However, they couldn't just use the name of Ruan's medicinal cuisine and not pay. That would be a bit unfair to their ancestors. After watching the TV station's recorded interview, Wan Qingshuang was quite happy. In the afternoon, many guests also talked about the TV station's broadcast. They also praised the medicinal cuisine house. Cho Yun came back after giving orders to the Three Tigers of Nanchang. Qin Wan-er had to attend an emergency meeting because of the S-level wanted criminal, so she couldn't come back for a while. Hearing that Qin Wan-er was involved in such a dangerous task, Wan Qingshuang was somewhat worried. However, it was Wan-er's job, so she couldn't not support her. She could only pray that Wan-er would not be in danger. This time, the police struck like lightning and quickly set up a special task force. The wanted posters posted all over the street made the people feel more nervous. However, some people naturally didn't know how to write the word nervous, such as the guy on the wanted poster himself. The bearded red scorpion looked at the wanted poster handed to him by Ma Pinghai with a smile. He sighed helplessly. These policemen were really like dogskin plasters. It had been so long, but they still didn't let him go. He was targeted after taking a plane. He was really unlucky. Master Kai, why don't you go away for a while? Ma Pinghai's forehead was full of sweat. He was nervous. Ma Pinghai, the big boss of Hudong City, who was called Secretary Ma, had never been so humble before. However, in front of Hao Kai, he was no different from a grandson. Hao Kai, nicknamed Red Scorpion, was the #1 master under Green Ghost. His reputation in the underground world was definitely not for nothing. In the underground world, a first-class master was regarded as a treasure by the strong, while the weak were scared out of their wits. To be able to make a name for oneself in the underground world, who didn't have a first-class master under his command? In the past, the big boss of Suang, Feng Qiansui, had a first-class master under his command. Violent Fox revered Cho Yun. It was the same today. For example, the big boss of Jianghuai, Mithriya Budawei Ishan, had a first-class master nicknamed Crazy Bear, Xiongfeng. The overlord of southern Lunnan, Wang Long Huang, who was given the title of Son of Heaven, had no lack of first-class masters under his command like Executioner Miao Dao and Black Tiger Luo Xing. These were fierce people who weren't inferior to Violent Fox revered. Of course, Those big bosses who could take them under their command were not simple. Their charisma was definitely outstanding. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to make these unruly first-class masters work for them. Secretary Ma, what I hate the most is hiding. Red Scorpion Hawkeye appeared to be somewhat impatient. Looks like you're afraid of being implicated? Or, do you want to earn that 500,000? The wanted poster clearly wrote, "Those who know but don't report, cover up or harbor criminal suspects will be investigated for criminal responsibility." When Ma Pinghai heard this, his face changed color. I wouldn't dare. Master Kai, I wouldn't dare to think like that. I'm just worried that you'll be discovered by the police. I'm really considering your safety. The number of police officers who died in my hands is already not few. Red Scorpion Hawkeye's eyes revealed a touch of cold light. I don't care about killing a few more. If the police of Hudong City want to die, then I can only help them. Don't you think so? Ma Pinghai's head was covered in cold sweat. He was also a person who didn't shrink from committing any crime. In the past, when the urban and rural areas were being demolished, he took the initiative to volunteer. He directly crippled the residents who refused to move. He himself couldn't even remember how many people he had killed. He didn't even blink when he used a knife or a gun. But even such a fierce person didn't dare to say that he would casually kill police officers. No matter how many crimes he didn't commit, he could only be called an evil person. But Red Scorpion Hawkeye sitting in front of him was an out-and-out demon. Yes. Ma Pinghai sucked in a breath of cold air. He couldn't understand why this ruthless person had targeted him. A few days ago, Red Scorpion Hawkeye came to Ma Pinghai's villa. At that time, Ma Pinghai wasn't home. Hawkeye acted like it was his own home. He slept with two of Ma Pinghai's mistresses, and used Ma Pinghai's private jacuzzi to soak in. He ate and drank casually. He even opened a bottle of highly collectible white wine that Ma Pinghai kept in his wine cabinet. Ma Pinghai was very shocked that someone dared to barge into his house. Of course, he was furious. His first thought was to kill this person who dared to commit such atrocities in his house. The outcome was within reason. Ma Pinghai's most capable fighters had all been sent to the hospital with serious injuries. As a Peking University boss, his entire army had been wiped out. Ma Pinghai had also completely admitted defeat. He directly supported this ancestor at home. Red Scorpion Hawkeye's request was very simple. He gave Ma Pinghai 2 photos. As long as he could find the people in the photos, he would naturally leave. Ma Pinghai was angry but didn't dare to say anything. Although Hudong City wasn't big, it still had a population of a few million people. How could it be easy to find 2 people in a sea of people? Furthermore, most of his subordinates were hospitalized. He couldn't possibly search alone, right? Later, Ma Pinghai thought things through. Anyway, this ancestor wasn't in a hurry. He could slowly search. With good food and good women supporting him, he didn't lose his temper. But today, when he left the house, Ma Pinghai was dumbfounded. There were arrest warrants for this ancestor everywhere. Only then did Ma Pinghai realize that this person was actually Hawkeye, an S-rank wanted criminal in the country. This scared Ma Pinghai silly. Harboring such a wanted criminal was more serious than harboring 10,000 thieves. Just this point alone was enough to make him tremble in fear for 3 to 5 days. Now this ancestor couldn't be sent away. If the police really came to investigate and were killed, Ma Pinghai wouldn't be able to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Now Ma Pinghai could only grit his teeth and swallow his anger. He prayed that no one knew that this dangerous person was in his house. For this, Ma Pinghai even spared no expense to find the taxi driver who had sent Hawkeye to his villa that day. He directly used his family to threaten him. Before he left, he even gave him 200,000 yuan as hush money. But this was all temporary. Ma Pinghai knew that if he wanted to have no worries, he had to make this ancestor leave his house as soon as possible. There was only one way to make him leave his house, and that was to find the person in the photos. Chapter 73. Ma Pinghai called Wu Lei. Wu Lei was obviously surprised. Secretary Ma, why do you think of me when you are so busy? Brother, you know me. I don't like to owe people. Today, I have something important to talk to you about. Ma Pinghai went straight to the point. This was not any other time. Now he was begging for help. I have something to ask you. Tonight, 6 o'clock, Golden Hotel. I'll be the host. Wu Lei was the youngest of the three big bosses in Hudong City. He was only in his early 40s, but he was meticulous and clear-headed, so he rose quickly. Secretary Ma, why are you so polite to me? Hee, if you want to drink, I'll accompany you as your brother. I know you're the most loyal brother. Ma Pinghai breathed a sigh of relief. See you tonight. See you then. After hanging up the phone with Wu Lei, Ma Pinghai took a deep breath and called Jin Biao. Brother Biao, it's me. Do you have time? Secretary Ma, are you trying to shorten my life by calling me that? Jin Biao had just been discharged from the hospital. His mouth was still swollen, and it hurt to speak. Brother Hai, just say it. Don't be polite with me. Ma Pinghai knew that Jin Biao was not as straightforward as Wu Lei, so he did not have much hope. Brother Biao, don't laugh at me. I have something to ask you. Jin Biao was slightly stunned. He knew Ma Pinghai. He rarely asked for help. How old was he to ask him for help? 6 o'clock in the evening, Golden Hotel. Wu Lei and I will be waiting for Brother Biao. Ma Pinghai saw that Jin Biao did not speak, so he could only use Wu Lei to increase his bargaining chip. Hearing that Wu Lei was also going, Jin Biao was shocked. There were only two people who were as famous as him in the underworld of Hudong City. They actually asked him to eat with them. He had to go. Brother Hai, this meal is on me. I'll be there. After a few words, Jin Biao finally hung up the phone. Jin Biao dialed a number in his heart. He didn't go to this meal to help Ma Pinghai, but to take the opportunity to talk about the new forces in the Southern 2nd District. If it wasn't for Qi Yishan, Jin Biao would have been dead a long time ago. Moreover, Qi Yishan had told him not to provoke that person again. They also had the support of the people from the police station. Moreover, Qin Waner, who supported them, was now a big favorite in front of Chief Qin. Jin Biao completely gave up the idea of devouring the 2nd District of the South, but he had to find a chance to reconcile. Otherwise, he was worried that it would be troublesome if the other party retaliated. If he could rope in the other two big shots to stand on his side, then make it clear to the other party that he would let them take the position of the big shot in the south, they might be able to coexist peacefully. If the other party didn't agree, then he would think of a way to incite Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei to join forces with him to kill the other party. Ma Pinghai hung up the phone and calmed down a little. He went directly to the Golden Pavilion Hotel. He couldn't delay this matter any longer, or he would really be in trouble. At 6 o'clock, Wu Lei arrived first. Ma Pinghai had prepared the most luxurious private room, and ordered the best dishes and wine. When Wu Lei saw this, he muttered in his heart, could this old man be asking them to help him kill someone? Secretary Ma, we don't have to be so extravagant, right? We're all on the same side. Why? It's just a common meal. Brother, you don't have to be so polite to me. Ma Pinghai said as he took out a box of Nanjing King of the 9 and 5 and handed it over. He immediately took out a lighter to light Wu Lei's cigarette. Wu Lei hurriedly refused and lit the cigarette himself. He didn't know what Ma Pinghai wanted him to do. Of course, he wouldn't let him light the cigarette casually. It was not bad to eat a meal and not do something for him. If he even lit the cigarette, then he would help him with everything. After the two of them lit up their cigarettes, Jin Biao walked in with his belly protruding. Although he had been injected with the best anti-inflammatory injections, the bruises on his face were faintly discernible. Brother Ma, isn't your treatment a bit too high? I thought you were going to entertain the country's leaders. Ha ha ha. Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei were a little surprised when they saw Jin Biao. Oh, isn't this Brother Wu Lei? Long time no see. Jin Biao said and stepped forward to shake hands. Wu Lei also got up to greet him. Brother Biao, please sit inside. Ma Pinghai was puzzled. Brother Biao, this injury. In fact, Wu Lei also wanted to ask, but due to his young age, he was too embarrassed to ask. After all, no one would be embarrassed to talk about being beaten. Brother Hai, don't mention it. Our Hudong underworld has a fierce dragon crossing the river. I'm afraid I can't keep the Eastern District. Today, I'll give you a reminder. Jin Biao said with a depressed face. Did you see that? This beating was ruthless enough, right? This is nothing. My nephew directly detained him, and the police came to take him away. His background is strong enough. Listening to Jin Biao's words, Wu Lei forgot who he was here for today. Brother Biao, who is so capable. He even dared to touch you? Touch me? If you guys wait. Jin Biao sneered. Maybe when the three of us will die, the entire Hudong underworld will belong to him. Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei took a deep breath. Who was so powerful? Jin Biao waved his hand. Okay, let's not talk about it. Brother Hai, why did you call us here? Just say it. We're all brothers. Don't be polite. Ma Pinghai smiled slightly and asked the waiter to serve the dishes and wine. He said to the two, no hurry, no hurry. Let's eat first. During the meal, Ma Pinghai got up and toasted several times. He did enough foreplay. Jin Biao also took this opportunity to talk about the situation in the 2nd Southern District. Obviously, the other two were also very curious about this new force. The people who dared to touch Jin Biao were not simple. Now that Jin Biao said it was so evil, it naturally made the two feel a little nervous. Soon they were full. Jin Biao also expressed what he wanted to express clearly. He said to Ma Pinghai, Brother Hai, what do you want to tell us? I drank a lot of this wine. If you don't say it, I'm afraid I will be drunk in a while. Ma Pinghai took out an envelope and put it on the table. He turned it to Jin Biao. I just want the two of you to help me find the two people in the photo. A friend of mine is looking for them. I really don't have enough manpower. This matter is quite urgent, so I can only ask the two of you to help me find a way. Wu Lei originally thought that it was a big deal to have such a big show and foreplay. It turned out that he was looking for people. Okay, Secretary Ma, you can rest assured. I will ask my men to help you pay attention. Although Jin Biao picked up the envelope, he didn't have the mood to look at the photo. Did he need their help to find people? He simply looked down on them. Brother Hai, you are really leisurely and elegant. You are still helping your friend find people. We may not even be able to keep our own territory now. Ma Pinghai frowned. Although he felt that Jin Biao was exaggerating the new forces in the 2nd Southern District, he felt that the injury on Jin Biao's face was not fake. What should we do? Yes, Brother Biao, they dare to make a move on you. I am really a little flustered. Wu Lei said. Among the three people, his force was the smallest. If there was a fierce person, he needed the help of the two most. Jin Biao knew that today's meal was not in vain. Whether we can keep our own territory depends on whether we can unite. You tell me, how can we unite? Ma Pinghai frowned. If he had to send people, he would have no one. Right now, he needed the help of these two people in this kind of thing. Jin Biao had already thought about it. Tomorrow, I will be the middleman. The three of us will invite them out and directly say it. We will support them to control the 2nd Southern District. But the premise is that they can't interfere with our affairs. If the other party doesn't agree and has the intention to expand, no matter who it is, we will unite to resist. Okay. These words definitely resonated, but it was a selfish resonance for everyone. Jin Biao had this idea because he knew that if the other party made a move, he would be the first target. Ma Pinghai agreed because no one under him could resist the invasion of other forces. He didn't have the courage to ask Scarlet Scorpion Hao Kai for help. Wu Lei supported this because he felt that he was the weakest among the three. He didn't know that he was the only one among the three who had a little defensive ability. Then we have a deal. Jin Biao finally smiled in his heart. If there is nothing else, I will go back first. And it's a deal. Wu Lei nodded. I will go first too. Ma Pinghai saw that Jin Biao hadn't opened the envelope to look at the photo and quickly reminded. Brother Biao, Brother Wu, don't forget to help me find the two people in the photo. Don't worry. Jin Biao waved the photo in his hand and said to Ma Pinghai, I will make 1,000 copies when I go out. Haha, let Brother Wu Lei bring back a few hundred copies and distribute them. Ma Pinghai's heart dropped. This could be considered a load off his mind. With so many informants, it might be faster to find people. When Jin Biao and Wu Lei walked out of the restaurant, Jin Biao directly tore the envelope in front of Wu Lei and threw it directly into the trash can. Wu Lei was slightly stunned. He wanted to ask, but he still held back. Jin Biao saw Wu Lei's puzzled expression and patted Wu Lei's shoulder. Brother, this is a critical moment. Ma Pinghai still wants us to help him find people. Does he really think he is the secretary? This matter should be done by his own underlings. Why do he want us to do it? Look at my injuries. I was intercepted by their people in my own territory in Tuashan Mountain. You have to be careful. When Wu Lei heard this, he also felt that it was reasonable. Now there was a fierce dragon that wanted to expand the territory. Of course, he didn't have the time to find people for Ma Pinghai. What he had to do now was to let his brothers pay attention to the movements in the 2nd Southern District. Brother Biao, thank you for reminding me. Wu Lei said. You can rest assured. I am definitely on your side. If they dare to do it, we will fight with them. Jin Biao nodded and vowed. And I am relieved to hear this from my brother. Wu Lei had a face of loyalty, but he was already prepared in his heart. If you want to go, you two veterans will go first. He would not be stupid to let his brothers be the vanguard. When their forces were weakened, it would not be too late for him to make a move. Chapter 74. Another weekend had ended, and Guogua happily went to school as usual. Cho Yun sent her off, clearly restless. The streets were filled with wanted posters, making her feel incomparably pressured. She knew that for the police to catch Red Scorpion, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens. Qin Wan came home very late last night, and left early in the morning. She didn't look very energetic. She looked very gloomy. It seemed that she was very disappointed that she didn't manage to rope in Su Yun and Cho Yun for help. Wait. Su Yun suddenly opened his mouth and called out to Qin Wan. Qin Wan froze and stopped walking. She turned her head and said, What's the matter? Su Yun couldn't bear to see such a sunny beauty become so dispirited. Yesterday, it wasn't that I didn't want to help you. I just didn't want to have anything to do with you police, but I didn't say I wouldn't care about your matter. Qin Wan's originally depressed expression turned bright. She stared at him. You're willing to help me? I can help you. Su Yun nodded. But you have to listen to me. Qin Wan nodded like a chick pecking at rice. I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you. Su Yun was satisfied. Okay, go to work. If there's any news, report it immediately. I still believe in the investigative abilities of the police. Grasping Red Scorpion's whereabouts as soon as possible was very beneficial to Cho Yun and Guogua. Su Yun had already thought that Cho Yun would go find the Southern Three Tigers to help her find Red Scorpion. It wasn't that he didn't believe in the abilities of those hoodlums, but Su Yun believed in the abilities of the police more. The cooperation between the police and the people was a win-win situation for Su Yun. But Su Yun didn't like the feeling of being used by the police. That was why he told Qin Wan that he was only helping her. That way, Qin Wan wouldn't sell him to the police. When Qin Wan opened her mouth that day, Su Yun knew that he definitely wouldn't be used by the police. If he wanted to cooperate, then he could only use the police. Su Yun, do you mean what you say? Qin Wan was at a loss. Of course. Su Yun nodded his head. The condition is, you are the only one who knows about my identity. Qin Wan hesitated for a moment. She wanted to report this matter to Chief Chen. Then you won't get any status. Am I the kind of person who cares about reputation? Su Yun smiled helplessly. Also, if you police have Red Scorpion's exact hiding place, I hope you can do your utmost to prevent the operation from being arranged. Tell me the matter and I'll help you. Qin Wan squinted her eyes. To deal with that kind of person, they will definitely arrange special police. You don't have to worry about that. Su Yun's face darkened. Special police? Hee, if your leader thinks that the special police can handle it, he wouldn't have asked you to come to me for help. Why do you say that? Qin Weiner was shocked by Su Yun's words. She had never said what Director Chen had told her. How could Su Yun know? Su Yun smiled slightly. It seemed that he had guessed correctly. It was because a wise leader of the Public Security Department couldn't have not seen that Qin Weiner had done great deeds before. There must have been someone helping her. From the words of the Three Tigers of Nancheng, Su Yin had learned a bit about Director Chen of the Public Security Bureau. In the 5 years since he had taken office, he had handled many big cases and suppressed many fierce bandits. So, this person would not be stupid enough to believe that a small policewoman had the ability to overturn the four-wolf gang. He also wouldn't believe that a small policewoman could single-handedly take on the A-level wanted criminal, Gong Yu. At the time, Gong Yu's body had a sword wound left by Cho Yun. Su Yin was worried that the police would investigate, but no one cared. There were only 2 possibilities. The first was that the coroner who did the autopsy was blind. The second was that someone with power didn't pursue the matter. Obviously, the first possibility was not valid. A blind person couldn't be an autopsy officer. It could only mean that someone with power turned a blind eye and let the matter pass. Moreover, when Qin Weiner took down the Blade Axe gang, no one asked her how she did it. Based on these small details, Su Yin could conclude that Chen Wei was a smart person. He knew what to say and what not to say. As long as it was beneficial to the police, he wouldn't pursue the matter too much. Go, it's okay. Su Yin grinned. If you trust me, do as I say. We can cooperate. If you trust the special police, then you don't need my help. Qin Weiner was so angry that she rolled her eyes at Su Yin and turned to leave. After she left, Wan Qingshuang came out of the kitchen. Su Yin, are you going to help Weiner catch the wanted criminal who is posted everywhere? Su Yin shook his head. He didn't want Wan Qingshuang to worry. Of course not. I don't have the time. I'm not a police officer. Haha. I know I can't control what you do, but I still want to say that I hope you are all safe. Wan Qingshuang said. If you can get a reward of 500,000 just for a valid report, you can imagine how dangerous this person is. Su Yin, you forget it. Let's not talk about it. Su Yin grinned. I'm not the kind of person who would risk his life for money. Sister Shuang, don't worry. Even if I see that person, I won't report it. Wan Qingshuang was relieved. Su Yin, of course, wouldn't report it. Who could he report it to? He would just go straight up. Who cares if he was a first-class fighter? If he didn't fight, how would he know whose fist was harder? Although he wasn't sure if he would win, Su Yin was at least 50% sure. Wan Qingshuang's face suddenly turned pale. She clutched her stomach and frowned. I'll go upstairs first. Su Yin raised his eyebrows. He knew that this was a common problem for many women. Wan Qingshuang had just taken 2 steps when her legs went soft, and she was about to fall. A big hand suddenly appeared in time and hugged Wan Qingshuang, who almost fell. Be careful. If you can't do it, don't force yourself. Su Yin still had a bright smile on his face. He used his wrist and flipped it up. He directly carried Wan Qingshuang in his arms. I'll send you up. Wan Qingshuang was blushed by Su Yin's actions. No need. I can do it myself. Don't be stubborn. Your face is pale, you're sweating, your body is weak, and your limbs are cold. It's an old problem, right? It's already quite serious. Su Yin said calmly. Yesterday, you said that you were going to buy Chinese medicine. When you came back, I saw that you also bought menstrual pain patches. After being exposed by Su Yin on the spot, Wan Qingshuang's face was even more embarrassed. The blush climbed from her cheeks to her ears. She was so embarrassed that she didn't know where to hide. Wan Qingshuang was originally thin-skinned. She didn't want others to know about this. But now a man actually found out. It's nothing. If you're sick, you need to recuperate. Su Yin carried Wan Qingshuang, who couldn't say a word, directly to the room upstairs. He then poured a cup of hot water for her. It's easy to have this kind of situation when you worry too much and overwork yourself. Take care of your body. I'll give you a massage. Massage? Wan Qingshuang's eyes widened. You're giving it to me? Sister Shuang, a doctor has the heart of a parent. Don't think that I have any bad intentions. Su Yin saw that her reaction was so big. Let me make it clear first. I won't do it if someone pays me. You know how to massage. Of course, Wan Qingshuang didn't believe him. After all, Su Yin was so young. Generally speaking, those who really understood acupuncture points were old Chinese medicine. The word old was enough to prove that learning Chinese medicine wasn't something that could be done in a year or two. Su Yin patted his chest. Sister Shuang, You don't have to believe me. I promise that I'll take you away from pain in 10 minutes. Believe it or not, it's much better than the ones you buy at the pharmacy. Ruan Qingshuang was still half convinced. You need to know the acupuncture points to massage. You can't just randomly press. Suyin wasn't happy to hear that. Back then, he was the only one among his brothers who had a talent in medicine. His master taught him more pharmacology and medical knowledge than the others. After all, as a pharmacist, Suyin was definitely not an ignorant barefooted swindler. Just when Ruan Qingshuang was still half convinced, Suyin had already picked up Ruan Qingshuang's right leg. With the pad of his left thumb, he rubbed the inside of her calf, 3 inches above the tip of the inner ankle, behind the inner edge of the tibia. This is the 3-yin jiao. It communicates with the heart and kidney, and leads the fire down. If you feel sore and swollen, tell me. Seeing that Suyin was so professional, Ruan Qingshuang was really stunned. After a minute, she felt sore and swollen. She hurriedly told Suyin. Suyin immediately moved his hand to her leg, and rubbed the acupuncture point on Ruan Qingshuang's left leg. It's really quite comfortable. Suyin, you're really something. Ruan Qingshuang couldn't help but praise. Suyin then picked up Ruan Qingshuang's pair of jade feet. The taichung point between the big toe and the second toe has an obvious effect of soothing the liver and relieving pain. If you feel sore and swollen, tell me. I'll do it myself. Ruan Qingshuang was quite embarrassed. Was Suyin going to give her a pedicure? Her whole body trembled. This was the first time someone held her feet. She inexplicably thought of the story of Shimenqing and Pan Jinlian in her mind. I'll show you this time. Next time, you'll know how to do it yourself. Suyin didn't stop what he was doing. After pressing the taichung point, Suyin said to Ruan Qingshuang, bend your knees. Ruan Qingshuang immediately followed Suyin's instructions. She now believed that Suyin was quite professional. She also deeply reflected on her thoughts just now. Suyin suddenly pressed his thumbs on Ruan Qingshuang's inner thigh, above the inner end of the patella. This time, Ruan Qingshuang's whole body trembled. A woman's thigh was considered a very private place. She really couldn't bear it. Forget about the inner thigh, right? Ruan Qingshuang said weakly. However, Suyin did not stop. Does the Shuahai acupoint on your left leg hurt every time? When you have nothing to do, you should stimulate this place more. At night, put a hot water bottle on your waist and press your left leg more. Ruan Qingshuang's face, which had been hard to get rid of, turned red again. She lowered her head and said softly, okay. She was really too embarrassed. Sister Shuang? Brother Yin. Suddenly, Dan Hongning's voice came from downstairs. Ruan Qingshuang immediately stood up in a panic. Suyin looked at his watch. It was only 10:30 p.m. It wasn't time for dinner yet. He motioned for Ruan Qingshuang to sit down. I'll go down and take care of it. You rest for a while and drink the hot water. Chapter 75. Dan Hongning was burning with impatience. As soon as Su Yun's figure appeared at the stairs, he couldn't wait any longer. Brother Yin, hurry up. There's an emergency. I'm coming. Su Yun shouted as he rushed downstairs. What's the hurry? What's the big deal? Brother, Jean Biao's underling came to find me today. He asked me to bring you a message. Dan Hongning said impatiently. He said that he'll be the host tonight. He'll be hosting you and Sis Shuang at the largest Hudong International Hotel in Hudong. Furthermore, North Boss Ma Pinghai and West Boss Wu Lei will be there. Su Yin touched his chin. That old fox had just been beaten up by him. And now he wanted to treat him to a meal? Wasn't this Hongmen banquet a little too obvious? Could it be that Jin Biao wanted to show off his ability, and tell him that even if he committed a crime, no one would dare to arrest him? If he was so shallow, Jin Biao definitely couldn't be the boss of the entire East. This was obviously impossible. Moreover, the two bosses of the North and West sides were participating. This seemed a little strange. Brother Yin, I think they want to curry favor with the Southern District, Dan Hongning said. Dan Hongning said, Jin Biao, Ma Pinghai, and Wu Lei. These three are the leaders of the East, North, and West respectively. Now that they've invited you and Sister Shuang, It's obvious that they want to confirm the leader of the South District. Su Yun smiled helplessly. You mean they want Sister Shuang to be the boss of Hudong Southeast? Yes. Dan Hongning nodded. Su Yun slowly shook his head. I don't think so. Hee, who dares to disrespect Sister Shuang in the 2nd South District now? If anyone dares, I'll be the first to chop them up. Dan Hongning angrily expressed his loyalty. Then it's more obvious. Since Sister Shuang is already the leader of the 2nd South District, it's not up to the three of them to tell her what to do. Su Yun sneered. He understood. Jin Biao is just afraid that we'll expand our territory and attack him. Then he'll join forces with the other two bosses to put pressure on us. Dan Hongning suddenly realized that Brother Yun's words made sense. That old fox Jin Biao really didn't have any good intentions. This meal was obviously a feast at Hongmen. The three of them definitely wanted to make things clear during the meal, and let the underworld forces of Hudong continue to develop in a balanced manner. To put it bluntly, they wanted to mind their own business. If Su Yun had any thoughts of crossing the line, then the three of them would definitely join hands. Brother Yin, should we go or not? Dan Hongning couldn't make up his mind. Su Yun wasn't in a hurry to make a decision. It didn't matter to him whether he went or not. After all, he didn't care about those three people. Let's talk about it in the afternoon. If we rush to make a decision, they'll think we're too casual. Dan Hongning nodded. He knew that Brother Yin was unfathomable. I'll get that person to tell Jin Biao to wait for Brother Yun's notification. By the way, have you done what Cho Yun asked you to do? Su Yun suddenly changed the topic. Dan Hongning was stunned. Brother Yin, are you talking about the person on the wanted list? Su Yun didn't deny it and nodded. Brother, I'm also dissatisfied with you. We know that you and Sister Yin want to help Officer Qin, but we really don't dare to provoke this wanted criminal. Dan Hongning frowned. Although it's said that there will be brave men when there's a big reward, everyone is afraid that they won't be able to spend the money. The police won't give 500,000 yuan for nothing. At that time, the media will definitely publicize and create an example. Whoever takes the 500,000 yuan will definitely be the first bird to stand out. Su Yun smiled in his heart. This guy was really telling the truth. Dan Hongning continued, think about it. How can such a fierce guy who killed 6 police soldiers be easy to provoke? The person he saved when he escaped from prison was also a national wanted criminal. His friends are definitely not easy to provoke. Everyone is afraid of being retaliated. I was just about to tell you about this. You don't have to help find him. Su Yun. This is not something we can participate in. The police won't give us money. We don't have to work so hard. Hearing Su Yun's words, Dan Hongning was relieved. Originally, it was Cho Yun's order. They didn't dare to disobey. Okay, then I'll tell Kong Zhong and Lu Feng. After Dan Hongning left the medicinal cuisine house, it was lunchtime. At noon, there were only him and RuanQingshuang. They would definitely be very busy. It seemed that they really had to hire people to do this work. Otherwise, they would die of exhaustion sooner or later. After all, the medicinal cuisine business was booming now. Even if RuanQingshuang and the others didn't do anything, the monthly income from other channels was not small. Dan Hongning's Dobao City was 50 to 60,000 yuan a month. When they were almost done at noon, Qin Waner suddenly came back. She didn't say anything and pulled Su Yin upstairs. Fortunately, there weren't many customers downstairs. Ruan Qingshuang was at most busy cleaning up the table. What important news is so urgent? Su Yin was a little surprised. Qin Waner drank a glass of water breathlessly and said, many days ago, the criminal police team was involved in the investigation. According to the strong evidence, now we can basically confirm that after the suspect came out of Hudong Airport, he stopped a taxi from the MRT taxi company with the license plate number Hudong H20156. The taxi drove to the Jiuyan mountain in the northern suburbs of Hudong. Su Yin was quite proud of his judgment. He really didn't misjudge the criminal police's investigation ability. They found clues so quickly. Then call the taxi driver in for questioning. That's the crux of the problem. Qin Waner frowned. The taxi driver just said that he didn't remember anything. We used all kinds of methods, but he didn't say where the suspect was going. And then, Su-yin asked faintly. Chin-won sighed. After all, there is a reward of 500,000 yuan. We think that the driver might really not remember, or the suspect didn't show his face after getting on the taxi. In short, this is the only clue we have. We only know that the suspect is very likely to be hiding in the Juyin mountain. Okay, I got it. Su-yin smiled. Do you know the taxi driver's address? Chin-won took out a note and handed it to Su-yin. I knew you would ask. Here you are. However, I don't think he would lie. Who doesn't want to make 500,000 yuan? Su-yin only took the note and remembered the address. He didn't answer Chin-won's question. Dan Hongning's words rang in Su-yin's ears. Although it is said that there will be brave men when there is a great reward, no one is afraid that they won't be alive to spend the money. The police won't give 500,000 yuan for nothing. When the time comes, the media will definitely create an example. Whoever takes the 500,000 yuan will definitely be the first to stand out. Because of these words, Su-yin didn't think that the taxi driver didn't remember Red Scorpion. On the contrary, he remembered very clearly. He was afraid that he wouldn't be alive to spend the money, so he insisted that he didn't remember anything. Su-yin raised his head and said, Have you eaten? I only ate a bowl of instant noodles with the criminal police, Chin-won said unhappily. Let's go downstairs and eat together. Su-yin shrugged. Sister Shuang and I haven't eaten either. After the three of them ate something, Chin-won left. Ever since she joined the case, she had been so busy that she didn't care about anything else. Ruan Qing-shuang went upstairs to rest early, because she wasn't feeling well. Su-yin called Chang, who was recuperating at home, to look after the shop. He didn't expect that Chang would drive an almost new Audi A6. Where did you get it? Su-yin really wondered where this kid got the money. Chang grinned happily. Lu Feng taught that kid from the infantry a lesson. This is the new car that the kid compensated me with. Haha, how is it, Brother Yin? We're in the fourth circle now. Su-yin was speechless. What's there to show off about an unlicensed car without any paperwork? Give me the keys. I have something to do outside. Chang handed the keys to Su-yin. Brother, what's the matter? I'll go with you. I asked you to look after the shop. Don't disturb Sister Shuang's rest upstairs, do you understand? Su-yin rolled his eyes at Chang. You're going with me? Then why did I ask you to come? He got it. Chang laughed foolishly. Su-yin drove the brand new Audi A6. He stepped on the accelerator and sped towards the Beijia district address written on Chin-won's note. In order to find Red Scorpion, he first had to find the taxi driver who knew his first destination. Wenhui District and Beijia District ran directly through Hudong City from the south to the north. For Su-yin, who was a fast driver, the 130-kilometer journey would only take a little more than an hour. However, Su-yin wasn't familiar with Hudong City's routes. He was even less familiar with Beijia District. It took him more than half an hour to find the address. It was a resettlement house in Beijia District. The place was a bit remote. It wasn't easy for Su-yin to find it. Su-yin originally thought that he would have to wait a few hours for the person he was looking for. He didn't expect that just as he found the place, a taxi with a Hudong H20156 license plate would drive in. Su-yin followed without hesitation. The taxi stopped in front of the third row of buildings. A young man in his 30s got out of the car. Bro! Su-yin stopped the car and shouted. The taxi driver was stunned. He looked nervously at the license plate of Su-yin's Audi. Then he shifted his gaze to Su-yin. Su-yin had already gotten out of the car. With an indifferent expression, he said, The license plate is fake. It's no use even if you remember it. The expression on the taxi driver's face changed. Who are you? I want to ask you something. You don't have to be so nervous. As Su-yin spoke, he opened a box of Hongtashan cigarettes that Chang had left in the car. He casually tossed one to the taxi driver. I'm Su-yin. What's your name? Feng Wei. The taxi driver took the cigarette. He didn't stand on ceremony with Su-yin and lit it himself. However, his expression was still nervous. I don't think we know each other. Why are you looking for me? Su-yin stuffed the cigarette into his pocket and smiled. Just a small matter. Huh. The matter that the police didn't manage to find out. Chapter 76. Su-yin took out the box of Hongtashan cigarettes that he had just put in his pocket. Once again, he flicked half a cigarette butt and handed it to the taxi driver, Wei Feng. This time, Wei Feng did not take the cigarette. The corner of his left eye twitched. I don't understand what you are talking about. You got the wrong person, right? Su-yin took back the cigarette. Brother, I am a straightforward person. I hope you are a straightforward person too. You should know that I am not a police officer. So, I don't have many rules and principles. Threat. Wei Feng glared at the young man who was wearing beach pants and flip-flops, but could drive an Audi. I said you got the wrong person. Don't bother me anymore. Everyone upstairs is from our village. If you don't want to cause trouble, you should leave quickly. You definitely don't dare to say that to the police. Su-yin smiled. I just want to ask you one question. That wanted criminal who hailed your taxi at the airport, where did he go? Tell me and I will leave immediately. I promise I won't say that you told me. Don't worry. Wei Feng suddenly exploded. King told you that I don't know any wanted criminal. I also didn't go to the airport to fetch customers. Scram. Su-yin had no intention of leaving. I know that you are afraid that you will lose your life if you tell me. Also, as long as you don't admit it, then you won't be charged with harboring criminals. So why don't you tell me? Wei Feng looked at Su-yin angrily. You were sent by the police, right? I have said many times that I don't know. Don't bother me again and again. I've already said that I'm not a police officer, so I don't have so many rules and principles when I do things. As Su-yin's voice fell, she directly whipped Wei Feng with her leg. Wei Feng was kicked in the stomach, and he almost fell to his knees. Su-yin's expression was that of a hoodlum. If you don't tell me, I will beat you until you tell me. I will fight you. Wei Feng's stomach full of anger suddenly exploded. His entire body bounced up from the ground, and his hammer-sized fist directly smashed towards Su-yin. Su-yin dodged the fist with a slight tilt of his body. Following that, he lifted his knee and gave Wei Feng a vicious kick in the stomach. Feng Wei fell to the ground with a cry. The intense pain was unbearable for him. The seemingly weak body of this inconspicuous young man actually contained such a powerful explosive force. Wei Feng took deep breaths of air. As the wanted criminal had hit his car, he had not been able to live a peaceful life for the past few days. If it wasn't Peking University boss Ma Pinghai coming to threaten him, it was the police coming to investigate. His tolerance was almost at its limit. Su-yin was still standing there. You still won't tell me? Feng Wei clenched his teeth. He believed that as long as he persevered, this matter would definitely pass. As long as he could endure it, this matter would be over. Su-yin suddenly struck again. The tip of his foot hooked onto Wei Feng's chin. The strong man, who was more than 150 pounds, was sent flying 2 meters into the air by Su-yin's kick. Following which, the fist that contained a huge explosive force smashed onto Wei Feng's body and sent him flying 5 meters away. Wei Feng, who had always thought that his physical fitness was good, could no longer get up. Some of the neighbors who had nothing to do were shocked when they saw this scene. After all, this was a rural resettlement area. Most of the people who had nothing to do at home were rural women. Not many of them dared to speak up when they saw this. Some of the more enthusiastic ones could only go to the village committee to call for help. Although Su-yin felt sorry for the taxi driver, Su-yin had no other choice. He really could not think of any other way to make Wei Feng talk. This was the only method he could use to make Wei Feng talk. When a person's life was threatened, there was only one way if you wanted to dig out the matter that threatened his life from his mouth. That was to let him know that if he did not talk, he would only die faster. Even though this method was a bit cruel, Su-yin still persisted in doing so. This was because the earlier Scarlet Scorpion was captured, the earlier everyone would be free from danger. These people included the taxi driver who had received a threat to his life. After all, Su-yin would suspect that Red Scorpion was worried that the taxi driver would reveal his whereabouts and kill him to silence him. He was doing this for the taxi driver's sake. As a man, he should be a bit more ruthless. Since he had made a decision, He would do his best to carry it out. Once you've thought it through, tell me. Suyin walked unhurriedly to Wei Feng's side and slowly squatted down. I've already said it twice. I'm not a police officer. I don't have any principles or rules when doing things. If you don't tell me, I will kill you. His voice was flat and monotonous, but it contained an enormous deterrent force. The words "I will kill you" drilled into Wei Feng's ears. His trembling muscles were unable to conceal the fear in his heart. Suyin continued, I want to find that person because I have a grudge against him. If you tell me where he is, you'll be helping me. I won't harm those who help me. But if you don't tell me, you'll be helping him. Those who help him are my enemies. Only death awaits my enemies. After saying this, Suyin pressed a finger on the ground in front of Wei Feng. Suddenly he exerted force. With a pu sound, his finger directly pierced through the bluestone tiles on the ground. His entire finger sank in. This was simply unheard of. If it wasn't for the intense pain from his entire body that made him realize that he wasn't dreaming, he wouldn't have dared to believe that such a person existed in this world. Wei Feng's voice twitched twice. His entire mind was already on the verge of collapse. In the end, he couldn't resist the threat that Suyin brought to his life. He called a taxi. Find. Ma Pinghai. Ma Pinghai? What a familiar name. Suyin was enlightened. Today, Dan Hongning had looked for him and told him that Jin Biao had invited them to a banquet. He had mentioned the western big shot Wu Lei and the northern big shot Ma Pinghai. So that was the case. It's him. He's the one who beat us up. Suddenly, a woman's shrill voice shouted. The village committee members and a group of men were holding all kinds of farming tools as they ran over murderously. Suyin was alarmed. F***K. This was their territory after all. From the looks of it, they wouldn't rest until they beat him to death. Without much time to consider, Suyin apologized to Wei Feng and thanked him. Then he quickly got into the Audi A6 and fled. However, the villagers were definitely not to be trifled with. Someone had already smashed a hoe at him. Suyin only heard the clanging sound. He didn't dare to stop the car, and quickly fled the dangerous relocation community house. On the way back, Suyin dialed Dan Hongning's number. Brother Yin, what should we do? That grandson who came to deliver the message is still waiting for me to give him a reply. Should I reject him? Dan Hongning said, since we have already fallen out with Jin Biao, there's no need to give him face. Suyin smiled faintly. No, promise him. Tell him that Sister Shuang and I will definitely go tonight. Dan Hongning was confused by Suyin. Okay, I'll tell them now. But Brother Yin, why do we have to give face to Jin Biao? I'm not going to meet him. Suyin said ambiguously and hung up. Dan Hongning could only tell himself that Brother Yin was unfathomable. Of course, he didn't understand what he meant. In any case, he would do whatever Brother Yin said. Brother Yin dared to break into Tuachuo Mountain alone and beat up Jin Biao. Jin Biao wouldn't dare to cause any trouble. When a man achieves the Tao, even his chickens and dogs will follow. The hooligans in the southern district were no longer the soft persimmons that others had described. Dan Hongning definitely had the guts to challenge any hooligans at any time and place. With Sister Shuang, Brother Yin, and Sister Yan, even if he was arrested, Officer Qin would come to bail him out. This was an absolutely invincible combination. When Suyin drove back to the medicinal cuisine house, Guogua had already finished school. When she saw Suyin get out of the car, Guogua looked at him with disdain. Dad, did you drive to pick up girls? Brother Chong said you were out for 2 or 3 hours. Suyin smiled and threw the car keys to Chong. He pinched Guogua's little face. Without my good daughter's orders, of course I wouldn't do such a wasteful thing. I'll pick up whoever you want me to. I asked you to pick up Mom, but there was no progress. I tacitly agreed that you could pick up Sister Wan, but there was no progress, right? I even helped you pick up Miss Su, but there was no movement from you. Guogua looked disappointed. Sai, you're really embarrassing your daughter. Are you going to pick up Sister Cho Yun? Bang. Cho Yun flicked Guogua's forehead. Ouch. Guogua grimaced in pain. Looking at Cho Yun's serious expression, she didn't dare to say anything. Go do your homework. Chou Yun was the second person besides Ruan Qingshuang who could control Guogua. Guogua stuck out her tongue and obediently went upstairs to do her homework. Chang suddenly shouted, "Brother Yin, where did you drive to? This. What's going on? Who smashed the back door? What a big hole. My new car." Su Yun then remembered the muffled sound when they escaped from Huiqian district. It turned out that someone had smashed the car with something. This. Su Yun looked at Chang's aggrieved face and laughed. "Don't be so stingy. It's just a small hole. If you don't pay attention, you won't be able to see it. Anyway, there's nothing strange when you drive it. The car is pretty good. You've made a fortune." Chang curled his lips and pointed at the fist-sized hole. "You can't see it? Sister Yin, be the judge." Chou Yun looked back and coldly said, "I can't see it." After that, she turned and went upstairs. Su Yun patted Chang's shoulder casually. Look. Neither of us can see it. It means that there's something wrong with your eyes. You're too much of a bully." Chang's face darkened. Ruan Qingshuang happened to come downstairs. Su Yun ignored Chang. "We're closed tonight. Come with me to a dinner party." "Dinner party?" Ruan Qingshuang was stunned. "With whom?" Chapter 77. Guogua, who had gone upstairs to do her homework, rushed down like a gust of wind. "What about me? Dad, you can't just take Mom and not Guogua. That's called bias. Do you still want to see the photos from the other day?" Damn, this bargaining chip was too tempting. Yes, of course I want to see them. Su Yun loved the little secret between him and Guogua the most. Ruan Qingshuang, who was in the dark, was confused. "What photos?" "I know." Chou Yun also came down. Her words shocked Su Yun and Guogua into a cold sweat. Chou Yun usually didn't like to gossip. Why did she suddenly change her personality? However, Chou Yun's tone changed. "If you don't want me to say it, then take me with you." The dignified violent fox Venerable wasn't here for a meal. She was just worried about Guogua. After all, it was already confirmed that Red Scorpion had entered Hudong City. She didn't want to be separated from Guogua for even a minute. Of course, no problem. Guogua quickly agreed while wiping the cold sweat from her forehead. She even gave Su Yun a hard look. What else could Su Yun do? He could only agree. If this matter was exposed, Ruan Qingshuang would definitely kick him and Guogua out of the house. He broke out in a cold sweat when he thought about having to sleep on the streets with Guogua. Sleeping on the streets wasn't scary. What was scary was having to be with Guogua. "What are you guys talking about?" Ruan Qingshuang waved her hand, too lazy to pay attention to them. "If you guys want to go so much, then you guys go. I won't go. I'll be busy in the shop. Chang will be my assistant." Chang pointed at his hands that were still wrapped in gauze. "Sister Shuang, I'm still injured." Su Yun smiled. He grabbed Chang's hand and showed it to Ruan Qingshuang. "This is a seriously injured person. Isn't it difficult for him to even carry a plate? By the time the Hongnan branch is refurbished, I'm afraid his hand won't be able to recover." Now the renovation work of the medicinal cuisine restaurant was handed over to Xiao Fei's uncle, Pang Gang. All the branches and the main store had the same style, and there was a trend of a big chain developing. Then, I'll wait for Wanner to come back and help me. Ruan Qingshuang didn't like to go to dinner parties with people she didn't know. She always felt restrained. Su Yun smiled bitterly. She's been so busy recently that she's lost her head. Whether she can come back is a problem. Just as Su Yun finished speaking, Qin Wan who was at the entrance of the medicinal cuisine house, came back from work without giving any face. "Haha, Wan you came back at the right time. They're going out for dinner tonight. You helped me in the restaurant today." Ruan Qingshuang showed a proud smile. Qin Wan shook her head and looked at Su Yun. "Where are you going to eat? Take me. I really don't want to move. Mom, let's just close and take a day off today. Let's go have a big meal together with Guogua. We'll all go together." Guogua made the decision. That's settled. Su Yun had a headache. Originally, he was going to take Ruan Qingshuang to negotiate and see if he could get some information from Ma Pinghai. Now it had become a family gathering, And he had to bring his family along, forget it. Su-yin admitted to everything. So what if he had to bring his family along? He knew that Jin Biao and the others wouldn't dare to say anything. Guogua, you can't close a restaurant casually. It will affect the business. Ruan Qingshuang said. If the customers come and find that you closed the restaurant without warning, they will lose confidence in our restaurant. Do you understand? That's easy. Guogua directly assigned the work to Chong. Brother Chong, you call Dan Hongning and ask them to bring a chef here. Don't be idle. Come here and do the odd jobs. You are in charge of collecting money since your hand is injured. Remember the accounts clearly. I will check the accounts when I come back. Chong looked sad. Was it easy for me to get injured? I still have to work in this state. Su-yin was also very satisfied with the arrangement. He directly made the decision. That's settled. Let's go. Chong, give me the car key. I need to use it. Brother, be careful on the road. Chong felt distressed when he saw the hole in his brand new Audi. Although he didn't spend a single cent on the car, it was still his baby. Su-yin impatiently waved his hand. I know. Stingy. Call Dan Hongning and the others to borrow a chef. I will leave the restaurant to you tonight. Chong nodded in agreement. Su-yun's group of 5 was in a car. They directly rushed to the Hudong International Hotel in the city center. He wanted to see what tricks Jin Biao could play. He also wanted to see if Ma Pinghai was really Red Scorpion's tentacle after coming to Hudong City. Guogua sighed with emotion as soon as they arrived at the hotel. I haven't eaten in such a big place for a long time. It feels good. You've been to a place like this before? Ruan Qingshuang looked at Guogua in surprise. She had never been to a hotel of this scale. She could tell how shady this place was just by looking at the words on the LED display board at the entrance. Our restaurant is offering a special price for a family dinner. Single room for 10 people. 3,988 yuan. This was a special offer for a family meal, and yet the price was so high. Was he crazy? It should be said that the people who came to eat here were stupid. Who is treating? How can he be so generous? Qin Waner couldn't help but ask. Jin Biao. Su-yin smiled slightly and said lightly. Qin Waner's eyes widened. What? What is he thinking? I haven't caused him any trouble yet, and he dares. Waner, we are here to eat today. If there is a problem, we can deal with it later. Moreover, you don't have time to deal with Jin Biao right now. Su-yin suppressed Qin Waner's anger that was about to explode. We can only know what he is thinking when we arrive. Qin Waner's anger still couldn't be calmed down. If it weren't for the fact that they were wanted criminals, she would have argued with Qi Yishan and Jin Biao, who were in cahoots with each other. Since we are here, let's take things as they come. Guogua was open-minded. It doesn't matter. Even if Xiang Zhuang's sword intent is on Pei Gong's side, we still have Dad to transform into Xiang Bo and Fan Kuai. Well, this girl was really open-minded. Qin Waner was a little ashamed. Well, since Guogua said so, I will accompany you to see what he wants. Cho Yun didn't say anything. She didn't smell any danger here. She didn't come because she liked this kind of dinner. She just knew that since Guogua wanted to come, she couldn't persuade her to stay at home. She could only come along. Only in this way could she rest assured. Ruan Qingshuang just knew that the person who was treating them was the gangster who made trouble for them. Why do we have to eat with the gang leader? Su-yin smiled but didn't say anything. Qin Waner looked helpless. Cho Yun still didn't say a word. Hey Mom, you still don't understand? Guogua shrugged. You are also a gang leader. Ruan Qingshuang's eyes widened. She suddenly realized that her current identity had changed. Qin Waner didn't support this matter, but due to various reasons she didn't say anything. After knowing that Su-yin agreed to attend the dinner, Jin Biao went directly to the International Hotel to wait. Because of the rising power in the southern district, Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei didn't delay, and went to the room reserved by Jin Biao early. Seeing that it was almost time, Jin Biao went to the lounge in the hotel lobby to wait. He sat on the mahogany sofa and smoked 2 cigarettes. He waved his hand to the lobby manager and said, I'm going to take a nap. I've invited a man and a woman today. Call me when they arrive. Yes. Brother Biao, What kind of guests are you waiting for? The lobby manager said obediently. He knew how to observe people's expressions. He knew Jin Biao's identity and status, so he spoke carefully. Is this something you can ask? Jin Biao rolled his eyes and closed his eyes to rest. The lobby manager still smiled and bowed. He directly greeted them at the door of the hall, imagining that Jin Biao was going to meet a big shot. Jin Biao closed his eyes and fell asleep. He didn't wake up until he heard a young voice calling his name. Su Yun walked to the lobby of the International Hotel, with 4 beautiful women. The revolving door opened and Su Yun strode in. Wait a minute. A man dressed as a lobby manager directly blocked Su Yun's path. The lobby manager looked at Su Yun's irrelevant dressing with a puzzled expression, then looked at the peerless beauties behind Su Yun. He frowned and said in his heart, what kind of F***king world is this? Could it be that such a good cabbage had been taken away by this unreliable guy? Su Yun was stunned. What? Sorry, what are you doing here? The lobby manager asked with a frown. Someone invited me to dinner. Su Yun was speechless. I'm not here to play mahjong, right? The lobby manager didn't want to believe him. You? Friend, this is a classy place. I'm sorry to see you dressed like this. I can't let you in. Guogua was speechless and covered her face with her hands. Alas, Dad is really embarrassing me, isn't he? Su Yun glanced at the snobbish guy and smiled. I can't come to dinner dressed like this? Who made the rule? I made the rule. The lobby manager looked at the man in front of him and was sure that he wasn't a powerful person. His face was unfamiliar, so he obviously wasn't a high official. He wasn't afraid of offending such a small person. Su Yun shrugged and looked back at the beautiful women helplessly. It seems that we can't eat today. Let's go back. Su Yun didn't have much to say to this kind of snob. As long as he walked out of the door and told Dan Hongning, once Dan Hongning passed this matter to Jin Biao's ears, this lobby manager's good days would definitely be over. Wan Qingshuang couldn't wait to leave. She was relieved, but Qin Wan'er was a little unhappy. Chou Yun turned around. She didn't care about anything. Do you know who invited my dad? Guogua didn't buy it. She put her hands on her waist. Don't look at people through the door. Although my dad's clothes are a little shabby, you can't afford to offend him. The lobby manager saw that the little girl was so arrogant and sneered. Okay, you tell me, who invited you to dinner? Jin Biao. Guogua was a smart person. She knew that this kind of local gangster's name must be well known. It must be useful to say it. The lobby manager was stunned for a moment, then he felt that it was funny. Then he frowned and felt a little scared. Chapter 78. Jin Biao stood angrily in front of the lobby manager who fell down. His face was dark. I asked you to treat my guests well. King pretended to be cool and drove people away? Are you tired of living? The lobby manager who was slapped by Jin Biao was dumbfounded. How would he know that the person Jin Biao wanted to invite was such an ordinary person? Moreover, Jin Biao told him that it was a man and a woman. He didn't say there were 5 people. He never thought that this person would be Jin Biao's guest. However, he didn't dare to say these words. He could only endure the pain on his face and get up. He said apologetically, Sorry. I deserve to die. I was a snob. I didn't know that you were Brother Biao's guests. I deserve to die. Jin Biao glanced at Su Yun from the corner of his eyes. Seeing that he was still angry, Jin Biao followed up with a kick. The lobby manager was kicked a few meters away. The few waitresses were so scared that their legs turned to jelly. Even so, no one dared to stop him. The people who worked in the International Hotel all knew Jin Biao. He was someone that even their boss didn't want to provoke. Enough. Su Yun knew that Jin Biao was waiting for him to speak. This lesson should be enough. Jin Biao spat and said to the lobby manager who was kicked by him, I'll tell your boss later. King, quit your job. You can't even recognize people properly. How can you be a manager? Get lost. The lobby manager who was beaten quickly begged for mercy. Brother Biao, please do me a favor. I admit my mistake. I apologize. I deserve to die. I beg Brother Biao to give me a way out. Give me food to eat. Don't let the boss fire me. Jean Biao couldn't be bothered with whether others had food to eat or work. It's too late. Get lost now. That's enough. Ruan Qingshuang couldn't help but speak. She was soft-hearted. She couldn't bear to see others being forced to the point of no return. Jean Biao was stunned. Looking at this woman who had a weak character but suddenly exploded, he unconsciously admired her. Originally, Suyin didn't plan to care about the life and death of the lobby manager, but since Ruan Qingshuang had spoken, he naturally couldn't sit idly by and do nothing. Jean Biao, since Sister Shuang has spoken, don't go too far. Jean Biao was stunned. Although he didn't know why Su Yin would submit to this woman named Ruan Qingshuang, he still did as he was told. Today, I won't argue with you because of Sister Shuang. Count yourself lucky. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Biao. Thank you, Sister Shuang. Thank you. Thank you. The lobby manager almost kowtowed. He was not only afraid of being fired, but he was also afraid that the boss would know that he had offended Jean Biao. He was afraid that he would not be able to survive in Hudong anymore. When they passed by the manager, Su Yun said lightly, "The customer is God." As someone in the service industry, you should understand this. In the future, don't look down on others. Since they dare to come to your shop, even if they are an old man picking up garbage to buy a steamed bun, you should greet them with a smile. This is basic professional etiquette. When Jean Biao and the others disappeared from the lobby manager's sight, he finally let out a sigh of relief. Jean Biao, I beat you up like this. Are you going to take revenge? Su Yin finally spoke to Jean Biao. Jean Biao hurriedly said, Brother, don't say that. I'm an open-minded person. We don't know each other without discord. As your brother, I burned down your shop that day. Today, I will apologize to you. Jean Biao, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have your nephew. Qin Wanner said coldly. To be honest, Jean Biao really didn't expect Su Yin to bring the police, but his face was still calm. Officer Qin, we will be a family in the future. There is no need to be tit for tat. Hee, if you need me in the future, just let me know. Qin Wanner turned her head and said in her heart, Who is a family with you? Jean Biao, since I dared to come, it means that I understand what you mean. Su Yin smiled slightly. But if you want to play any tricks, I don't have the patience to play with you. Brother, look at what you're saying. Today, I'm here to apologize to you, and at the same time to build bridges. Ma Pinghai from the north and Wu Lei from the west want to know Sister Shuang from the 2nd district of the south. Jean Biao's mouth was full of extravagant words. It's really an honor for me to be able to invite all of you. Su Yin snorted and said with some disdain. Later, if you have anything to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush. Sister Shuang doesn't like it. Jean Biao's mouth twitched slightly. Although he was unhappy, he still endured. Han Xian could endure the humiliation of being under his crotch. Jean Biao had to learn to be patient today. The Hudong International Hotel was definitely not a restaurant in name only. The decoration here was splendid, and the most luxurious private room was even more luxurious, making people gasp in amazement. The crystal chandelier shone like stars, and the solid wood floor was luxurious and gorgeous. The huge mahogany dining table and mahogany chairs were even more expensive. Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei were smoking in the room. When they saw Jean Biao come in with people, they got up to greet him. What surprised them was that the other party had brought 5 people with him. Su Yin let Ruan Qingshuang enter the room first. Ruan Qingshuang just smiled when she saw the strangers and didn't say anything. Su Yin was the second to enter the room. He quickly sized up the 2 people in the room. 2 mafia leaders who could dominate a region were indeed not simple. They were different from Jean Biao's brash and domineering attitude. Of the 2, one was shrewd and scheming, while the other was humble and cautious. Following closely behind Su Yin, Chou Yan and Guogua walked in. Su Yin immediately sensed the change in the face of the scheming and astute fellow. His eyes widened in an instant. It looked like this was Ma Pinghai. Moreover, Su Yin could basically determine why he had such a big change when he saw Chou Yan and Guogua. He obviously knew something. Perhaps the tentacle red scorpion had found in Hudong City was this person. Su Yin believed that the taxi driver, Feng Wei, wouldn't lie to him when his life was in danger. Therefore, he dared to conclude that Red Scorpion was definitely related to Ma Pinghai. Ma Pinghai's forehead was clearly oozing sweat. His nervousness and excitement were all hidden deep in his heart. However, the subtle changes in the details still betrayed this shrewd old fox. I thought it was something big. It turns out to be a gathering of the mafia leaders in Hudong City. Qin Weiner was the last to enter. After seeing the two other than Jin Biao, she couldn't help but coldly say, "It looks like I really shouldn't have come today." Qin Weiner's reputation had already spread throughout Hudong City in the Wenhui district. Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei had both seen her photo in the newspaper. They had also heard rumors of her eradicating the underworld forces in the southern district. They didn't expect to meet her today in such an occasion. This also solved Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei's doubts about how a woman in the southern district could suddenly rise to the top in the underworld. It turned out that not only did she have the help of an expert, but she also had the support of the police. "Since you're here, let's enjoy the meal." Guogua didn't think so much. She took Qin Weiner and swaggered inside. Ma Pinghai's eyes never left Guogua. The expression on his face changed slightly but was rich. Anyway, Su Yin felt that it was very exciting in his eyes. "Aren't you going to introduce her?" Su Yin asked. Jin Biao didn't hesitate. He opened his palm and looked at Ruan Shuang. He said to Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei, "Now you see her in person. This is the legendary Sister Shuang in the southern district. Haha, she is much more powerful than us. In just 10 days, she unified the Wenhui district and the Hongnan district in the southern district." Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei said, "Sister Shuang, nice to meet you." In fact, the two of them were not convinced. They thought that if they had the protection of the police, they would definitely not lose to a woman. It was very difficult for them to become bosses in the past. It was not easy at all. "This is Ma Pinghai, the one in the northern district of Hudong City." Jin Biao introduced as he gave a thumbs up. He then pointed at Wu Lei. Wu Lei may be young, but he is also the #1 figure in the western district. Jin Biao had dragged the two of them out to let Ruan Shuang and Su Yin know that the underworld of Hudong City was not something he could mess with as he wished. The situation of warlords was not something that could be changed in a day or two. It was better for them to stay in the southern district. Ruan Shuang had never seen such a scene before. The hooligans she had come into contact with were at the level of the 3 tigers of South City. Now she was seeing the big bosses of different places. She didn't know how to respond for a while. "I'm not as young as Sister Shuang." Haha. Wu Lei laughed dryly. The woman in front of him was only 26 or 27 years old. He couldn't see how she could control the southern district of Hudong City. No matter what, Wu Lei decided to improvise. Whoever had the stronger momentum, he would stand on their side. For him, it was not shameful to be a fence-sitter. Not being swallowed up was the way to go. Moreover, Wu Lei was sure that Jin Biao and Ma Pinghai both had their own ulterior motives. In this day and age, if one didn't look out for himself, the devil would take the hindmost. Ma Pinghai was a little distracted. His attention was not on Ruan Shuang at all. His eyes were wandering, looking at Guogua and Chou Yun from time to time. Every time, his eyes would flash with excitement. How could Ma Pinghai not be pleased? Originally, he had shown Jin Biao and Wu Lei the photos, but Jin Biao had thrown them away without even looking at them. Now they had sent the people directly to his door. As long as he notified the master living in his house, Jin Biao would definitely be unlucky. Originally, Ma Pinghai wanted to attack Ruan Shuang because Jin Biao threw the photos away without looking at them. He wanted to unite the northern and southern district to rope in Wu Lei, and then destroy Jin Biao. It seemed that his method would not work. As long as the fierce man took action, the southern district and eastern district would be leaderless. At that time, he and Wu Lei would split the world. Maybe the fierce man would show his gratitude and help him. Wu Lei would be no match for him. Then, he would be able to unify Hudong. No one in history had been able to dominate Hudong's underworld. Thinking that he might be able to accomplish this feat, Ma Pinghai couldn't help but laugh. However, all the subtle changes in Ma Pinghai's expression did not escape Su Yun's eyes. Su Yun saw all of Ma Pinghai's reactions. Of course, Su Yin was not the only one who felt that something was wrong with this man. Cho Yun also felt uncomfortable every time Ma Pinghai's eyes fell on her and Guogua. Now, Cho Yun only had one terrifying thought in her mind. Whether her feeling was right or not, she did not plan to let Ma Pinghai live through the night. Cho Yun's sixth sense told her that this man was dangerous and must be killed. Chapter 79. My presence won't affect your discussion, will it? Qin Weiner sneered. The three most powerful people in the underworld of Hudong City gathered together. What kind of banquet did they hold for Sister Qing Shuang? What did they want? Jin Biao hurriedly said. Of course not, of course not. Officer Qin, I've heard from my nephew Ishan that you're a woman who's not inferior to a man. You're Director Chen's favorite. Haha, you have to help my disappointing nephew put in a few good words for him. We've also heard about your deeds. Officer Qin, your ability really makes us admire you. Wu Lei knew that flattery would always work. Today he was going to keep a low profile. Regardless of whether they were capable or not, he decided to put away his usual arrogant attitude and bend down to serve them. After all, no one could guarantee what would happen to Hudong City in the future. Qin Weiner snorted. She would not accept the praise of this gangster. She coldly said to Jin Biao, Jin Biao, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have Qi Yishan's support. Although Jin Biao hated her so much, he still smiled and said, I don't dare. Officer Qin, we'll be friends in the future. Let's not talk about the past. Qin Weiner almost wanted to scold him. I'm not going to be friends with you. But when she thought that Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yin would come here, she endured it. But she felt very uncomfortable. Damn Su Yin. How could he lead Sister Frost on such a path? At first, Qin Weiner thought that they were just doing it for fun, so that no one would find trouble with the medicinal cuisine house in the future. She did not expect that Sister Frost would go directly to the position of the leader of the underworld in the southern district. If that was the case, as a police officer, what should she do? Wouldn't that put him in a dilemma? Sister Weiner won't be with you, Guogua suddenly said, drawing the line between Qin Weiner and herself. Hey, we're here to eat. Fatty, why don't you ask when the dishes will be served? Qin Weiner was struggling in her heart, but Guogua's words made her feel much better. The corner of Jin Biao's mouth twitched. This girl was really rude. She actually called him Fatty. Fatty Jin, I didn't come here to chat with you. We're hungry, so hurry up. As a godfather, Su Yin naturally had to support his daughter. Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei both broke out in a cold sweat. Few people in the underworld of Hudong City dared to disrespect Jin Biao. Even if they disliked him, they would call him Brother Biao to show respect. This was the first time they had heard someone call him Fatty Jin. Most importantly, Jin Biao, who had a violent temper, was actually able to endure it. He even had a smile on his face as he said, Okay. Let's eat immediately. You can serve the dishes now. Jin Biao shouted to the waiter outside the door as he regained his usual dignified look. The top 3 hotels in Hudong City were really efficient. In less than 3 minutes after Jin Biao spoke, a group of waiters directly served the dishes. There was a variety of dishes, and after each dish was served, the waiters would announce the name of the dish. Cordyceps and figs pot, loofah and pork liver with lean pork, huaishan lotus seed and pigtail soup, pepper blackbone chicken, sea rice yellow flower and wood ear soup, coriander fried beef, lily sliced chicken, rock sugar pork trotters, rose red dates and wolfberry paste, rock sugar lotus seed and bird's nest soup, chrysanthemum pork ribs. The delicious dishes were served one after another. What a familiar name. Medicinal cuisine. And all of them were exactly the same as the ones in Medicinal Cuisine House. Su Yin frowned. He remembered clearly that Dan Hongning had mentioned that he wanted to cooperate with Hudong International Hotel. But later he said that the boss of Hudong International Hotel didn't like it. So Ruan's Medicinal Cuisine didn't enter Hudong International Hotel. Why would a failed business deal appear here now? Guogua couldn't help but pick up a piece of coriander fried beef. She was surprised as she ate. Why does it taste like ours? Su Yin didn't even need to taste it to know that the ingredients were the same. This medicinal cuisine was completely made according to Ruan Shuang's ancestral medicinal cuisine recipe. F***CK. Knockoff. Haha, I know that Sister Shuang is in the medicinal cuisine business, so I ordered the newly launched medicinal cuisine banquet here. Jin Biao didn't see the doubts on Ruan Shuang and Su Yun's faces. He continued, please try the taste. Qin Wan'er didn't intend to be polite with the three gangsters. She directly turned the chrysanthemum pork ribs in front of her. She first picked up 2 pieces for Guogua, then 2 for Ruan Shuang. When she turned her head and saw Guogua pick up 2 pieces of pork ribs for Chou Yun, she picked up 2 pieces for Guogua, and then put 2 pieces on her plate. There were only 2 pieces of chrysanthemum pork ribs left on the plate of 10 pieces. Qin Wan'er directly turned to Su Yun. This dish was often made by Su Yun when they were eating, and it was also a dish that was highly praised. Su Yun didn't hesitate. He directly put the rest of the ribs on his plate, and didn't mean to leave a piece for the 3 gangsters. The 5 of them began to taste like gourmets. It seemed that they were all looking for the difference between this dish and the one made by Su Yun. After Ruan Shuang tasted it, she was surprised to find that except for the fact that the heat was slightly inferior to Su Yun's, the dish was perfectly made. The ingredients were absolutely the same. It was completely the taste of her ancestral medicinal cuisine. They didn't cooperate with the Hudong International Hotel, but they actually got their ancestral recipe. Someone must have leaked it. However, Su Yun didn't say anything. It wasn't the time to argue with the hotel about this. When he dealt with what needed to be dealt with, he would naturally arrange for someone to investigate this matter. Finally, Jin Biao stood up and began to pour the wine. No one refused, but no one would drink. After pouring the wine, Jin Biao spoke. Sister Shuang, we invited you here today because we want to ask you something. Jin Biao was extremely cautious when he spoke. Although Wu Lei didn't know what kind of power Ruan Shuang had, seeing that Jin Biao was so nervous, he had to be alert. He looked at Ruan Shuang with a serious face. Ask me. Ruan Shuang was stunned. At this time, Ma Pinghai didn't seem to care. He suddenly stood up and said apologetically, I'm going to the bathroom. You guys take your time talking. Take your time. Jin Biao and Wu Lei were slightly surprised by Ma Pinghai's action. They had just talked about the main topic, and he was leaving. What was the meaning of this? Jin Biao and Wu Lei knew that Ma Pinghai was a sly old fox. Leaving now was definitely a taboo. However, Ma Pinghai didn't care about Jin Biao's light cough or Wu Lei's gaze. He resolutely strode out of the room. Jin Biao's face was a little awkward. He looked at Ruan Shuang unnaturally, but he didn't see any joy or anger on Ruan Shuang's face. She was completely unconcerned about Ma Pinghai's departure. At this moment, Jin Biao seemed to understand something. He was scared because he couldn't understand Ruan Shuang's inner world at all. He now knew why Ruan Shuang could keep super experts like Su Yun and Chou Yun by her side. It turned out that she was an unfathomable person. In fact, Ruan Shuang didn't care about what Ma Pinghai did. The reason was very simple. She didn't plan to think about anything. It wasn't that Jin Biao couldn't see through her, but that she didn't think about anything that Jin Biao could figure out. My stomach is a little uncomfortable too. Su Yun frowned and shook his head disapprovingly. Counterfeit food can't be eaten. Without authorization, you can't get used to it. Chou Yun understood Su Yun's meaning, but Qin Wan'er and Guogua were confused. They didn't understand what Su Yun was talking about. Jin Biao was, of course, embarrassed when 2 people suddenly left, but he still insisted on being thick-skinned. Haha, Sister Shuang, we want to ask if you have any plans to expand your power? Ruan Shuang was confused. She was the boss of the southern district of Hudong City, and didn't know much about the underworld. She was completely confused by Jin Biao. Jin Biao and Wu Lei saw Ruan Shuang's confused expression, and suddenly their hearts were squeezed. They even held their breaths. The 2 instantly formed a tacit understanding without words. If Ruan Shuang said she had plans, they would definitely point their fingers at Ma Pinghai, who suddenly left, without hesitation. Qin Wan'er was speechless. Of course, she knew that Ruan Shuang wasn't made to be a boss of the underworld. But as a policewoman, she certainly knew what was in the heads of these gangsters. Seeing that Ruan Qingshuang couldn't say anything, Qin Wan'er said helplessly, "You can rest assured. Sister Shuang won't expand her power. But listen to me clearly. Don't let me catch you. Sister Shuang won't do anything to you, but it doesn't mean that the police won't do anything to you." Hearing Qin Wan'er's words, Jin Biao and Wu Lei suddenly felt relieved. They were already familiar with dealing with the police. They weren't afraid of the police, but of Ruan Qingshuang, who was more terrifying than the police. After all, gangsters could still survive if they were caught by the police. But if they were caught by their peers, they would definitely die. The bigger the gangster, the harder it would be to fall. "Officer Qin, we are all law-abiding citizens. Haha, we are doing legitimate business." Wu Lei stood up with a smile, and then picked up the teapot to pour water for everyone. Because the waiters were all asked to leave by Ruan Qingshuang, she wasn't used to the feeling of being served behind her. Qin Wan'er didn't care about Wu Lei's flattery. She looked at the door and said to herself, "Suyin didn't fall in, did he? Hasn't he come yet?" Guoguo was speechless. "Sister Wan'er, can you not talk about such disgusting things while eating?" Originally, no one thought that there was anything wrong with Qin Wan'er's words, but after hearing Guoguo's words, they couldn't eat anymore. However, Guoguo didn't feel anything and still ate a lot. The medicinal cuisine here was 20 or 30 times more expensive than the one in her own restaurant. Of course, she couldn't waste it. Suyin didn't go out to go to the bathroom. He just wanted to know why Ma Pinghai went out. Chapter 80. Suyin heard it loud and clear. Ma Pinghai called him Master Kai more affectionately than his own father. There was only one main point of the call, which was that he had found the person in the photo. He had found the woman and the child. Furthermore, he had promised that he would stall for time and wait for him to arrive. The distance between the North Blade district and the city center wasn't that far. With the strength of an expert, it wouldn't take much time to rush over. Suyin was somewhat worried. If it were him alone, it wouldn't matter. He would have to face Red Scorpion sooner or later, so he might as well settle it today. However, there were too many concerns around him today. Guoguo, Ruan Qingshuang, and even Qin Wan'er had no fighting power in front of a first-rate expert. Chou Yun, whose body hadn't fully recovered, might only be able to protect herself. It was almost impossible for her to protect the three of them. Although Su Yun hadn't fought with Red Scorpion before, based on what he knew, Red Scorpion was definitely a fellow who stood at the peak of first-rate experts. Whether or not he had made a breakthrough was still unknown. If Red Scorpion had already broken through to the realm of a super expert, then Su Yun would have no chance of victory. Su Yun was very clear that now was the time to let everyone leave. Based on Red Scorpion's style of doing things, he wouldn't have any scruples about harming the innocent. If by any chance they really caused a ruckus here, Su Yun was also worried that there would be too many wrong souls. This damned Ma Pinghai. Su Yun returned once again. Even though the current situation was extremely urgent, his face was still as calm as a lake. "Are you done eating?" "Just a bit more." Guoguo licked her lips. Su Yun smiled slightly and let Guoguo continue eating. It wouldn't be too late to leave after she was full. Ma Pinghai also returned after hanging up the phone. His expression was clearly much more excited than before. There was a kind of restrained exuberance hidden in his expression. "Hee, Secretary Ma, did something happen that made you happy?" Su Yin smiled. He had a plan in mind. He would let Qin Wan'er deal with this person first to avoid any trouble in the future. "Let's talk about it and make everyone happy." Ma Pinghai was slightly startled and forced a smile. "Hee, I have the honor of eating with Brother Su and Sister Shuang. Of course, this is something to be happy about." Su Yin replied with an, "Oh," and continued to ask, "Then you just secretly talked to someone and said that you saw the woman and child in the photo. What's going on?" Chou Yun's face suddenly turned cold and murderous. From the beginning, her sixth sense had told her that there was something wrong with this person. She didn't expect that there really was something wrong. As soon as Chou Yun heard the woman and child in the photo, she immediately understood what was going on. Ma Pinghai's face changed color. He didn't expect that his conversation in the washroom outside would be overheard. Su Yun sneered. Secretary Ma, aren't you going to give me a good explanation? Everyone was at a loss when they heard it, not understanding what Su Yun was talking about with Ma Pinghai at all. Guogua suddenly felt Cho Yun's murderous aura. She hurriedly pushed the plate forward and said to Ruan Qingshuang, Mom, I'm full. Suddenly, a cold light flashed. Cho Yun's soft sword Long Yuan slashed down directly. The huge table was directly split into two and collapsed with a bang. All the plates and chopsticks fell to the ground. The sword even tore a crack in the floor. Ruan Qingshuang and Qin Wan didn't understand why Cho Yun suddenly became angry. They quickly picked up Guogua and walked behind Su Yun. Ruan Qingshuang was very nervous. She thought that it was a gangster fight like in the movies. Qin Wan vaguely realized that Cho Yun's abnormal reaction had something to do with Su Yun's questioning of Ma Pinghai. Wu Lei was dumbfounded and almost fell to the ground. He finally understood why Jin Biao had to make concessions. This woman was simply not human. Even if he used an axe, he would not be able to break such a big table. Using a soft sword was simply a fantasy. Jin Biao had already known that Cho Yun wasn't an ordinary person, so he wasn't as surprised as Wu Lei. However, he didn't understand why a good meal would make them angry. This situation was not good. What the hell was Ma Pinghai doing? Cho Yun didn't hide her murderous aura and attacked Ma Pinghai. Ma Pinghai was exposed. He was really scared by Cho Yun just now. However, after he panicked, he quickly thought of his backer's power. Humph, I want to see how arrogant you can be when Master Kai comes. I have a backer in the underground world. Master Kai? Su Yun was slightly stunned. Hehe, are you talking about the national S-level wanted criminal, Hao Kai? No wonder the police couldn't find him. He was hidden by you. Hehe, Qin Wan. Now that you have a clue, the crime of protecting someone isn't small, right? Qin Wan originally felt that this matter didn't concern her and didn't want to get involved. However, when she heard Su Yun's words, she instantly became alert. Humph. Do you know who Hao Kai is? Do you think you can catch him with your little ability? Ma Pinghai became arrogant. He had seen the strength of the underground world's fierce people, so he had a card up his sleeve. Su Yun sneered disapprovingly. He walked to Ma Pinghai's ear and whispered, Of course I know the famous red scorpion in the underground world. Then do you know who I am? Ma Pinghai shivered. Could it be that this guy was also from the underground world? Qin Wan spat. If I don't catch you today, my surname isn't Qin. Those who threaten Guogua must die. Cho Yun's eyes suddenly revealed a cold light. Without waiting for Qin Wan to react, she directly moved forward. Her Long Yuan soft sword flashed past everyone's sight and directly stabbed towards Ma Pinghai's heart. Ma Pinghai didn't expect that they would dare to kill in front of the police. His face turned ashen on the spot. Jin Biao and Wu Lei were completely stunned. They had seen many things in so many years, but this was the first time they had seen such a situation. Ruan Qingshuang panicked and quickly covered Guogua's eyes. Qin Wan could only sternly stop her. No! Qin Wan was a police officer. Even if the other party was a national wanted criminal, she couldn't just watch him get killed. While she was hesitating, Qin Wan had already taken out her gun. If Cho Yun dared to kill on the spot, she wouldn't let it go. However, the moment Cho Yun's soft sword was about to pierce Ma Pinghai's heart, it was kicked away by Su Yun. Ma Pinghai was also directly pulled behind by Su Yun with one hand. Ma Pinghai, who was completely scared, was stunned like a puppet. Don't stop me! Cho Yun shouted angrily at Su Yun with her sword. Su Yun couldn't help but frown. He knew very well that Cho Yun wouldn't let anyone who threatened her and Guogua's safety. She just wanted to get rid of them to prevent future trouble. If Qin Wan wasn't present, he might not stop Cho Yun from killing a scum. After all, Su Yun wasn't a kind person. However, today's situation was different. Qin Wan had already taken out her gun. Su Yun knew Qin Wan's character. She would never allow lynching. If Cho Yun killed Ma Pinghai today, then this matter wouldn't be over. There could only be two results. Either Cho Yun would be arrested by Qin Wan or Qin Wan would be killed by Cho Yun. Neither of them would give in. Ma Pinghai's life couldn't be dealt with by Cho Yun today. Su Yun's mind was still very clear. Cho Yun, your opponent is not this person. Su Yun's face no longer had the playful and joking expression from before. His cold expression made Cho Yun feel a trace of seriousness. However, Cho Yun wasn't satisfied. Ma Pinghai had exposed her and Guoguo's identities. She and Guoguo could be attacked by Red Scorpion at any time. If she didn't kill Ma Pinghai, it would be hard to get rid of Cho Yun's anger. Cho Yun, we the police will deal with this person. Put away your weapon. Qin Wanner was also very nervous. Cho Yun was definitely a dangerous person in her mind. Seeing Qin Wanner's gun, Cho Yun sneered. I don't need you police to interfere with my matters. You. Qin Wanner bit her lips. She was really angry. Cho Yun, you cannot believe the police, but you can at least believe me. Believe what I said. Let Qin Wanner deal with this person. She definitely won't let him get away with it. Su Yun was the only calm person. Ma Pinghai has already told Red Scorpion that we are here. This isn't the place for us to solve the problem. I hope you can consider the bigger picture. Guogua didn't understand the world of adults, but she was very clear that everything Cho Yun did was for her, and everything Su Yun did was for everyone. Sister Cho Yun, let's listen to Dad, okay? Cho Yun finally retracted her murderous aura after Guogua spoke. Let's go now. Su Yun immediately made a decision. Qin Wanner suddenly refused. She stared at Su Yun and asked, did you just say that person will come here in a moment? Qin Wanner, I will only say it once. That person is not as simple as you think. Su Yun of course knew what Qin Wanner was thinking. She wanted to wait for him to come and seize the opportunity to capture the wanted criminal. But her thinking was too naive. Even if there were 100 of her, she still wouldn't be able to threaten Red Scorpion. I will immediately dispatch people. This is an opportunity. I won't let it go. Qin Wanner had her own persistence. Once she decided on something, even 10 bulls couldn't pull her back. Su Yun had no choice but to make a decision. His figure suddenly flashed in front of Qin Wanner. Without waiting for Qin Wanner to react, his hand chopped down on Qin Wanner's neck. Qin Wanner's eyes went black. Her mouth mumbled a few words before she fainted. Bastard Su Yun. Convincing a selfless, big-breasted, brainless, and righteous policewoman with no social experience was much more difficult than convincing a cold killer like Cho Yun. Su Yun knew this, so he didn't hesitate to knock Qin Wanner unconscious. Su Yun directly carried Qin Wanner on his shoulder. Then he pointed at Ma Pinghai and said to Cho Yun, take him. Cho Yun didn't hesitate to kick Ma Pinghai unconscious. She dragged him in her hands like she was dragging a dead dog. Although Ruan Qingshuang didn't understand what was going on, she knew that she had to go. She didn't hesitate to carry Guogua out of the room. Cho Yun followed closely behind. Before Su Yun left, he turned his head to look at the stunned Jin Biao and Wu Lei. Do you know who we are? Now there are 2 paths. One is to follow Sister Shuang, and the other is to follow Ma Pinghai. Jin Biao and Wu Lei's heads were nodding like chickens pecking at rice. They had never heard of Su Yun and Cho Yun's overwhelming fighting strength. They didn't have any ability to resist and could only accept it. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.